So, once again, this is the beginning of the 33rd Keshe Knowledge Seekers Workshop, and we'll be tuning into the Spaceship Institute in Italy with Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and we'll be listening to Armin speaking during this presentation as well. He'll be talking about his new...
He arrived, just arrived. Good morning, Armin.
Oh, good, just in time.
This morning.
Just in time for his show.
Yeah. You want to start first and then we carry on? No, he's gone red.
He needs to wake up a bit first, perhaps.
No, he walks in with his coffee cup and coffee can and everything else.
Okay.
We're gonna buy him. You know this space hoods you walk around with a cable to put it outside for his smoking. Then he has no reason to leave. We keep him in. I wonder if he can go for a spacewalk for a smoke outside.
Yeah, you can, but only once.
No problem. So, good morning. Are we live now?
So that means we all need separate smoking rooms.
Yeah, that's tricky. You can have your
I'll
separate
join you, Armin. I'm there with you.
You can have your separate smoking room, but you can't leave it.
Easier to have separate spaceships.
We are getting there. We're getting the results are very, very promising.
Okay, you can take over. Yes, we're online, and they even caught all the jokes, and you can carry on now as any way you wish.
Nothing needs to be cut off. Good morning to you all, wherever you are. Good evening, good afternoon, and very soon we will say good morning to the people, or good day to the people of the universe, as Armin takes us into space with the system. As a lot of you know, we are entering a very, very practical and groundbreaking technology live on the net. A lot of people told me for years, would you ever show anything? And now we are showing everything we have every second it happens. We spent a couple of nights, a sleepless night, watching the ascend and descend of the weight of the system. And now, as we see on the live stream in the lab, we have started reduction in weight, opposite to my expectation. But there is something has happened in the, here we are down to 1346 as we see. It's dropped by about 10. Armin, you're leaking. Yeah, I mean the coffee is leaking. We have dropped by nearly 120 grams in less than half an hour. Something has happened in the lab, and that is one of the, what we call it, small reactors, which is not part of the star formation, has burnt out overnight. So when I was there 5 o'clock in the morning, I noticed it, we switched it off, and from that point we have seen the change of the drop. So this shows how these systems are well connected to each other. The breakthrough is fundamental. The understanding is fundamental. The position that the system has taken is groundbreaking. In a way, it's not groundbreaking for universal work, but for science on the man side. Levels of knowledge, I should say. We have seen weight reduction of, originally when we started the system, was at about 11.16 kilogram. We went down to 10.62, which is about 500 gram or half a kilo loss. And then over the day yesterday, we went to about 13.7476 plus, which was nearly 2.5 kilogram weight gain. But as I put on the live stream, I try to keep a continuous work live So from next week, even the teachings of the knowledge seekers will go live if we can do it. So as I teach the knowledge seekers, we try to put the microphone nearby that you can learn and understand. And so the teaching, what has been here more or less private, becomes open now that we open the doors. So anytime anybody comes live online can, and then it becomes the work of the people who do the transcribing the videos becomes much harder, because we don't choose when we teach or when we discuss. As knowledge seekers can tell you, when the subject arises, we discuss and we talk and we go into detail. There is something which must be a lot of surprise to the people who will start listening to our conversations and teachings here live, is that I teach all aspects of the technology to the knowledge seekers. In their position as knowledge seekers being in the headquarters here, and their future position as a knowledge seekers head, that politically, financially, diplomatically, how they have to stand and how they have to represent the foundation, scientifically what they have to understand, how the foundation in the future has to stand on its own on the merits of its technology. In so many ways, as I explained yesterday in the children's program, we are making plasma a new science on its own. It has nothing to do with physics. And this was important to do. Then a lot of people had a problem to connect the plasma technology, which we are explaining and developing, into what they consider as a plasma. So we separate totally plasma technology. We don't call it physics. It's a plasma. It has its own characteristics like physics has and chemistry has. And this way, teaching becomes much easier. Learning becomes much easier, because we talk about the plasma in physics, we talk about the plasma in the blood in biology. So now each one can explain their own plasma, but plasma technology as a whole is interactions and its attractions and its results now can be defined on its own merits. One of the most important things which a lot of you are fixed to these monitors at, I can see it at like 8 o'clock in the morning is 12 kilogram 0.6 and then 12 kilogram 0.62 the next minute. You missed a huge point. Numbers are irrelevant. The point is, for the first time in the science of man, we have managed to use, I argue, about 10 gram, and Armand says it's not even 1 gram, of GANs or plasma. This is 5 gram of GANs of plasmas. And we have managed to move, increase something in the region of 2.5 kilogram from one point to another. But that's not important. The most important part is not a single atom has been used. Not a single element has been destroyed. Not a single entity has been hurt. And this is the structure of the universe. This is the structure of working with plasma. When we open the plasma, when we open the reactors in the coming time, as we've done it now once in the past week with Armand, we don't see any changes. There is nothing missing. Burning is finished. And this is what we call the plasma technology. This is which is fundamental. Figures of going up to 3 kilos or 10 kilos. The 13.46 kilo you see is the housing weight. The original housing weight was 10 kilos, 11.16 kilogram. All this is motors and the housing and what do you call it, hanging baskets, whatever we produce to what do you call it, position these ganses. Total work is done by less than, between Armand and me, let's say 7.5, 5 gram of GANs. And the total mechanical or electrical energy input is about 11 watt, 12 watt, varying between 10 to 12 watt, which is put from outside. And as I said to the knowledge seekers, there is enough in there that we can take energy and then the system becomes self-sufficient. We don't even need the supply from outside. So this is the breakthrough. This is the change. This is what we're going to see, and we will observe that we do not need to burn fuel. We do not need to destroy structures to achieve something or to attain something. This is what now we know a number of organizations are trying to sit on the live streams. They are downloading it. They are using people here in the foundation. The way we freely disperse knowledge to write patents to take over the Keshe Foundation's knowledge, technology, and make the foundation obsolete. This will not happen. This will not happen as the knowledge is freely given, is in public, and these people think by writing patents through the Belgian Patent Office and blocking it will happen. We are telling you we are very well informed. Do not use our openness as our weakness. Our openness is our strength. And we know what's happening. There are people who are writing patents on what we are teaching freely, what is taught in the lab freely, and what is taught in the knowledge seekers to write patents to make money for themselves. Knowledge is in public. Any patent which connects to plasma in this way is not patentable because it's in public. But they're trying to use different word and terminology to in a way say the technology is ours. And this happens again with the crookedness of the Belgian office government. It's again in the hand of the Hans Brackenier and the rest of the team in Belgium. We know who's doing it, how they're receiving the information. So it's very important that this knowledge, the way it's dispersed and be dispersed in the future, stays in the hand of the world population. Nobody can write patents to control. Patents are useless, it's finished. No patent. We've got so open that no patent is applicable. Patent is the crook nations and governments who want to control things. But now it's so freely open that it cannot be done. Our security and intelligence are informing us heavily, are busy writing things to submit, backdated to the Belgium Patent Office, which they control themselves, and then they say it's been locally here, it's gone to the European patent. So we even tell you they're backdating papers because they're sitting in the patent office themselves. So it's your job to put this technology as far as you can, as fast as you can, all over the internet, freely, that it does not get blocked. So now you see how the work is. We teach, they go and they write a patent, they control the patent office, they backdate it, they endorse it on the backdated stamps, and then they say it's been in the patent office in Belgium, now it goes to European patent. Rubbish. People who are informing them and teaching them what happens here, they'll be handed over, they have to justify what's happening. Now you know the problems which are sitting with this technology, and it's your job as a knowledge seekers and people, world population, the way we give it to you freely to protect it, not ours. One of the most important parts now is that in the lab, as you raise questions on the live stream, we try to answer you. We've never done this. We answer questions, you raise a concern or you want to understand something, so we come on, we teach, we answer. As long as the questions are correct, we answer it. If it's something we can learn from and we can teach or we see, stop the picture there. The pictures you just put on the live stream. Yeah. Just stop 1 second. Stop. Look at the center point, the column, center column, which is in the center reactor on the top. Look at the shape of the slice between the black and white. This is actually, if we turn, this is what we did with Armin and Marco and John, Armin and Marco this week, is if you turn, because we had the opportunity, Armin brought the whole thing out for changing things inside. If you look at that shape, After you open your phone. If you look at the shape between the white and the black, this is the line of the plasma. You don't see the top end. On the top end of this black beam is the end of the plasma, and that from the white line to the other line on the top in its maximum diameter is 5 centimeters. I spoke about this before. So you see the interaction of the imaginary, or what I call open plasma, in the space where the central force is, on the central column. And we have two of these. If you can't see it, we try to bring it up when it's not done, or we record it and then we bring it up to you to see. You see two spheres line on it. One sphere line is when we had all the 4 reactors GANs filled, and one sphere line is narrower, lower, and it points out to the reactor side where we change it to copper oxide. So on the beam we see two spheres, and if we turn it around, you have a look at it, we see a line where the impulses come out. The high impulses is where it comes out, and as we go back to the last workshop, at that line, the magnetic field pulses are released. And that magnetic field pulse releases is so strong that literally pushes out the top layers of the GANs on the central column. So we find the top layer, which is loosened, on the board where the reactors are sitting. And we see the shape of it, the way they are patterned. So what we say, there is our detector is facing this beam, this imaginary plasma. Now you see the actual plasma structure is interaction with the matter of the central beam column. So in fact, for the first time to you, it's just a line between black and white on the central column, but this is the position of the, what do you call it, the MagRav plasma free. This free MagRav plasma is no, because I look at the picture which is out of date. Yeah, okay, John Mark, they just put the picture in front of me. I see now on the live stream another picture. I'm still on a backdated one. So if you look, the shiny bit on the top between the two, this comes in afterwards. You see the shape of the, what do you call it, the sphere of the free plasma. And it's very, very clear when we open it, when we looked at it. So we know the plasma exists, and in one pictures you see the strip going right the way down, no white material on it, and you see the interaction point or release point. This column, when we had to look at it, when we opened it up, it taught us a lot in understanding of the interaction of the plasma with the matter. In the future, I'll explain this in more detail, because what happens now is that this free plasma, which is around this column, is releasing its extra energy in interaction with the detector itself. What does this mean? When the dimension and the size of the magnetical field of this free plasma goes outwards and reaches the detector itself becomes a means of discharging and creating a boundary. So In a coming time, we have to move the detector out of the position beyond the boundary again to be able to see the effects. So as we call it in physics, a short circuit, the detector itself has become the point of short circuit for release of the plasma and for the plasma not to be created. And MAGRAPH detectors should change in the future. I'll show you how to measure it. And then you understand how then we don't bring matter into position. There is a small problem with this structure, and that's that beam we put in the future very soon when we, like the other matters, we just lost the track of my thoughts. We will teach you how to control things, how to run the reactors without motors. Please don't move. As we did with the other reactors, we switched the motors off, and now the reactors are interacting with each other's plasmas and dictating the fields. In a coming time, we can do the same thing with the GaNs. So we take the motors out, and because of that, we will take the central column out. The central column at the moment we need to fix for our detector. The central column, when it's removed, then we handle the true performance of the free plasma space. Now, maybe we can go to a step further to understand something. The way I brought you through making GaNs, the way I brought you through making nano-coated material, then the way we work with the reactors, with the plasma condition, and now we work with the GaNs. Today, you understand for the first time something new. With these reactors, once we remove the central column, in that position where now we can see the physical plasma interacting with the central column, somewhere in that region, you can create the conditioned gravitational magnetic field of your destination. So, every position in the universe is replicable. What does this mean? You use the GaNs material in a confinement of the 4 reactors in the star formation to create a free plasma environment in the center of the pyramid, which can match any condition, anything exactly like the universe. So now you understand why we have to come this way so long, step by step, for you to understand. I was explaining to the knowledge seekers this week that we need so many satellites for our GPS to work, to locate exactly where we are. We can't send satellites to the borders of the universe to send the position where we are in the universe. This plasma, free plasma space, is your GPS. You replicate the strength of the position in the universe, be it in a plasma, be it in a matter condition, be it in a principal strength to the matter strength and submatter strength, and by the law of plasma interaction, You'll be attracted or repelled from the position you're trying to get to or get away from. So now we go to another step in the development of the science of the knowledge of man in space technology. So now you understand why you've gone through making and making and making things to make something else with it, to use it in something else, and then making something else to lead to something else. At the moment, as far as your knowledge and understanding is, now you have the knowledge to create replication of the fields in the universe. In the plasma, free plasma, which you create in the center of the pyramid. Now maybe man can understand why pyramids ever built. But there is something very, very important. As I showed in the camera yesterday in the lab, or the day before in the lab, and explaining the position of this free plasma in the star formation, the smaller reactor GANs, which was sitting in another star formation, and another free plasma which was sitting on the desk, which was running with a small motor. If you put these in a specific connection in a three-line field strength, not necessarily materialistic strength, you can reach anywhere in the universe at the speed of your choice. If it's far for you to understand the way you created the position between the 4 reactors to make this free plasma environment, then this free environment, free plasma environment, with the other 2 and the Earth gravitational field, creates a further 3 free, or make a combination of 3 which are in line. And if you can understand how you can move between one to another in the 3 line, you understand the structure of the pyramids all over the planet. If you look at the structure of the pyramids in Egypt, the 3 are made in line with a center distance from the tip from each other. Look at the pyramids all over on Earth. This knowledge was passed on 27,000 years ago to man. Man never understood. As I said, repeated 6,000 years ago, man never understood. Now we explain it. Maybe you understand. So now you look at the position and understand the structure of the pyramids around this planet. You created the imaginary point, which is a plasma within the center. You created 2 more to bring to the center another imaginary between the 2. And then you have another 2 which is got another imaginary. So you get the 3 free plasma conditions in line. And where you sit between the top and the bottom dictates where you're going to be within the sphere of the universe. This is your GPS system. It's very much, when you look at the Google map, you go from plus to minus, up and down. The plus minus on the top are your 2 lines, and the one in the middle is your dictator, where you want to be in the universe. And then you can move within the sphere of the plasma. Because you created the gravitational magnetic field of the center, the strength you want, you dictate how fast you want to reach that point in the universe. You want it to be at what they call a high super speed. You move your plasma more to the center, your system more to the center, your aircraft or craft, well, not the aircraft, but your craft to the center. You travel on that magnetic field strength to the point of destination in the universe. So This theory of it taking 100,000 light years to get here is nonsense, does not exist. It's man-made things because that's what they could understand.
Mr. Keshe, if you wanted to demonstrate something on your piece of paper there, the camera's ready to go. If you wanted to show that better, explain that, that'd be great. Just a second, I'll tune into that.
Tell me, where is your bottom line? Is this your bottom line? Can you see this line?
I can see the whole sheet of paper and below the sheet of paper easily, so it's good there now, I think.
What happened, if you look at the structure of the pyramids in Egypt, they are built in line. And this is the three lines. This is the knowledge, which the energy in the center of the tree, it's very much the way we have built our reactors on a free circle. So if you go from one to another, but the fields, when you look at these three crosses in this way, the field is three-dimensional. This is your new barometer. This is the new GPS. This is your new satellite system finding where you're going to be. This point, a strength, has a capability to take you from the center to here. The same on this side. But don't look at it dimensionally, two-dimensional, look at it three-dimensional. It's very much how, if I put this as a universe, if you can see this, if you can see this ball as a universe, you dictate if you want to go to this planet in this part of the universe or this galaxy in this part of the universe, how to align and adjust the three lines. Now, in so many ways, the mystery of the pyramids of Egypt, halfway explained. There is more to it. In time, as you understand more, we explain to you more. Look at all the structures in the universe. Anywhere you see in pyramids, before man split across the earth, are sitting in this formation, or in this formation in reflecting direction of motion, but three. This is important. This is your location. Yes.
Mr. Keshe, can I interrupt briefly here? There's a question from the live stream which we should clarify before we continue. They say the basis here is triangular and the Giza pyramid is square. Is that of importance?
Yes, it is. We teach you the fourth later on. I've explained this to the knowledge seekers last week. Armand is smiling. Yeah.
Okay, I think we may have lost the feed there. Yes.
Did we just lose the SSI?
We lost the SSI. Yes, indeed. She went down. The good ship SSI went down temporarily. It's like a submarine. It pops back up again, though.
Till we get you in the Formula One.
So we just lost a little bit of that conversation, Mr. Keshe.
And we
just dropped out there for a moment.
We also lost the video, so.
So, what do you call it? We are back on again.
Yeah, the video is just starting. The video is just. Okay, there it is. It's back now.
I'm looking at two different pictures, two different cameras. You've got to get me back on there again because I look at your pictures. So what it is, we're just telling you how to play with the go-karts before we get you back on the Formula One. So this is what it is. There is a reason, there is a structure, and once you can handle the three, the four-base pyramid can explain much easier, but that has a reason for it. And put it this way, in the universe, even though everybody has the same knowledge, but you go again from nursery to professorship in development of the technology for motion, energy, and everything else. And the more advanced you are, the more you move towards the diamond structure, what you call the pyramids. When the pyramids were taught to the man, was taught by the masters. But that time was thought it was good. You know, you were teaching a child, you try to tell everything, but the child doesn't understand it. You try to feed it, to explain what you call it, the structure of a nuclear reactor to a child who's sitting on a chair, and you're trying to feed him baby food. It's meaningless. And man was in that stage when they were taught about the pyramids. But at that time it was thought man one day will understand. They haven't understood now. We go to it and we go into details that the man with the present knowledge can do. So you understand what it means, the position of the three pyramids, even in Egypt and everywhere else. This is not only the energy center, which is the pyramid give you, but position between the three dictates where and what energy you can have and can position. But at the same time, you always have to understand one thing. Move away from what we were teaching to the children yesterday. Move away from thinking about the magnets as this shape. A straight magnet does not exist. So when we will speak about pyramids, when we speak about life in the universe, we talk about plasma of the universe. Very much this is the way we showed yesterday to the children. This is where the secret sits. This is exactly how you structure everything. So you look at the structure of the pyramids in a very specific way. And then you position yourself in respect to their free plasma positioning. When we say free, the free attachment from matter. That's what we call it, free. So you want to be on the corners, one side of the universe which you want to go, you bring your field strength to this side. Man always walks at the bottom of the pyramid. If the man one day can understand and go between the spaces of the pyramids, they will understand the beauty of the creation in the universe. They are looking as physicality point, but the reality is this system here and this system here, between them, they create their own free field interaction, and the interaction of the three creates a third balanced one as a free point. And then this comes why you have a, what do you call it, a 4-square pyramid. This is very important. Then you will understand that you create imaginary position. Now we go back to, if you look at these three circles, the red one, we bring the three red ones down. This is what I was teaching to John and Marco this week. You find where in this universe you want to go. This is your universe. You create, you find imaginary point in the universe where you want to go. You know it's a strength field, but in fact you want to go here. Look at the condition you made. The 3 base reactors and a top reactor. And there we are. This is your destination. This is the free plasma. This is the destination. You wanted to go to the moon, Zeus, whatever. That's your position. You use the position of what I call the principal point, your position in the space, to find the position you want to go. Then this dictates the speed of you want to travel. You want to travel with a speed of 100, 10,000, 20,000 by order of magnitudes of the light or whatever to be in that position. It's very much you want to go with the jumbo jet to, what do you call it, to Spain, or you take a leisurely route and you'll be 4 days on the road. So you go to every point in the universe by the speed order of magnitudes which you travel. Now, as I said, and you understand why and how, in the reactor, in the past 24 hours, 48 hours, we see these changes, increase and decrease. The increase and decrease is the reactors have created imaginary point. We had another reactor in the distance and we had another reactor in the distance. So the fourth imaginary position, very much like this, we have two. We have one which is too far, which is the sun. And we have which is one very near, is the Earth, central core. So now you are moving in respect to this. So the imaginary gravitational field up here somewhere between the three positions in different places in lab, interacting with this and interacting with above. You saw some disturbances and now we see the changes, is because this reactor at the moment is out of position. It's failed. I disconnected at 5 o'clock this morning and suddenly immediately have seen the drop. The other one is overheated. Your little miniature reactor is kaput. So now we see unbalance. So the reactor is trying to find a balance. What happens? The gravitational magnetic field of the Earth in respect to the imaginary point is pushing because there is a weakness and it has to be adjusted. So now this is why you suddenly start seeing the reduction, because the magnetical field of the Earth is pushing away the gravitational magnetic field position of the free plasma in the center between the three cores. And now you see the weight reduction. So now you understand why you're seeing this weight continuous changes in your material and what you call in the digital reader. So in one stroke, hopefully we have solved the mystery of the pyramids and understanding that the man has had a knowledge, but not they had the knowledge and the explanation, but in a way teaching a monkey and putting the suit of a general does not make a monkey a general. So we've seen, we thought, and now the man is ready to be maybe a foot soldier and not a general yet. So this is explained in a very, very detailed, in a very, very simple way that the man as a scientist in Africa can understand as a professor in Harvard University, as we say. This is what you've been looking at. The whole explanation, this is what I said from this week on. We start teaching openly because I teach a lot of things live on hand to the knowledge seekers here, because we don't have, there is no books in the universe. You teach as the situation arises. And I teach as we see appropriate and as we see fit to do, and we can see how fast we can reach the point to teach as much as possible. One of the John's video is the fastest, I think, because Chris is not on our line. He's working on it, so I use his because it gives me a good indication what they see. So you got to realize you are looking for figures and numbers on the screen. Understand what is behind it which creates it. Understand what is sitting there that it forces these conditions. Now, this is what I said yesterday in children teaching. We have a plasma interaction, that's plasma technology. It's a science of its own. Then you have physics, which is the interaction of two plasmas. Then you have chemistry, which is interaction of at least 4 plasmas. These 2 plasmas we consider proton and electron of hydrogen as 2 plasmas. So You have plasma technology, you have physics, now you have chemistry, again, interaction of 4 plasmas, or you become biology, interaction of 6 or 8 and more plasmas. So the structure of the universe sits on the plasma, behavior of the plasma, motion of the free gravitational magnetic fields, not confined to the matter. And this is what we have created in the space between the 4 cores, be it from the first set, which was made the first star formation with the gases, to the latest, which we've done on a plate with 4 reactors. And if you understand this in a very simple way, you have your top reactor, you have your 3 base reactors, and all 3 make a connection with each other at the base and the top. Somewhere where you can move your free reactor into the line of any of the 2, you have made the structure of the universe in the direction you want to move. So your simple system in the lab, once you understand it, gives you the same structure as you've seen in pyramids. And now the knowledge is complete in so many ways for you to understand what you can do. You position this back or forward from the center to it. You can move it closer to the imaginary line of any of the 4 reactors. You'll find out you achieve the same 3. And where you move this dictates in which direction and what strength you travel by the order of magnitude. So when we shown today, we just came from the lab. We have increased the pulse to 92.9 Tesla today. If you understand how to use this and how to bring it into play, you go from 0.2 milli to 92. Find the order of magnitude, you find your speed of travel. This figure will rise to about 1,000 to 2,000 if we allow it, Tesla. The structure will not damage our structure because we are in gravitational magnetic field structure, but not in a field plasma. So then you understand how you can travel the speed of light beyond and by order of magnitude thousands of times faster. At the moment in the reactor we're producing 0.0005 Tesla, roughly. 51 milli Tesla or micro Tesla. We are producing 51 micro Tesla, which is this, in gaseous. And if you read the papers, the gravitational or magnetic field of the Earth is measured around this. Now that you can produce 92 Tesla, find out what order of magnitude you can travel, which you haven't realized yet. Multiply, multiply, order of magnitude. And then when you come from 0.0005 to 2 and 10,000, you can produce. It shows, in fact, the speed you can propulse yourself to another in the magnetic field strength. This you have to understand. This is something in time man will understand. And you travel at the zero time. When we had the professor here, he said, oh, do you know what's the strength of the Earth's magnetic field? Yes, we know. But now we show the power of the technology in a way, the way the universe works. We interfere with nothing, but we use everything. We use the whole knowledge of the science, not in parts, but in full. Then, as I said, if you have the 4 reactors, one sits on top, and you have put the black beam which you showed in the middle, Arman is testing a reactor, the 4th one you see in the one of the pictures in the distance, the small reactor. According to the position of your detector on the surface, inner part of this bar, what would you like? Kilowatts, megawatts, or milliwatts? According to where your plasma sits, your free plasma is. That's what I said, you don't need motors, external energy. You learn this in a very simple way in what Luciana told us. By putting a winding and increasing the energy to AC/DC. Now you can put, if you understand how to do it, a power that you can produce, extract the energy from the free plasma on the bar. As you surprised our fireman, we missed it again. So, depends on where the center of the plasma is, and you can how far on it in attraction of the GaNs with the nano layer. Would you like 1 watt or would you like 10 megawatt? Now you understand, Marco, I said you don't need any power generators. What we did, in a way, knowledge seekers did this but never understood it. We have batteries in the lab. They put GaNs in it, they put wires in it, 3 wires, and they put one wire like a winding on the other one. Now you know where the winding comes in. Do you understand, Arman? So, your system, your pyramid is your power generator. But you have to understand how to extract. If it's far-fetched, ask yourself one question. How come this imaginary thing is releasing 92 Tesla? And on continuous basis, we see 20, 30, 40 Teslas. Where is this energy coming in from? The energy is coming from the totality of the 4 reactors, gravitational magnetic field, which they release through their GaNs. And so they dictate. And this is what it is. You'll see the position is constant because it goes by the rule of the universe. Thou shalt not steal. You give to be able to sustain life. And the job of these 4 is 4 work together to sustain one entity, which all 4 can benefit by it whenever they need it. So in a way, the plasma in the center of your, what I call the free plasma, is a bank for the 4 reactors. They bank their extra inside. If you haven't understood it, in fact, if you look at it, your imaginary reactor is here, your free reactor, This is video. You should be video stock. You know, you have to go on John's. We are sending things out on John's, not on SSI. It's back on. Okay. So, okay, no problem. So, okay, what happened? Now go back to the setup of the reactors you have. You have 4 reactors, 3 in the base and 1 on the top. And you have 1 free plasma in the middle. Look at the behavior, exactly what has happened. The free plasma has become a bank, which means whatever surplus is from any of the 4 is banked. Anybody can use it equally. But if you look at the structure, you have a proton and you have an electron. You have a proton, you have another electron. So the free plasma behaves as a second parallel twin to all 4 at the same time. This gives a new opportunity in respect to use this in, let's say, the plasma of the sun or the moon, in trying to travel at the strength which you need. If you want to go at the speed 10 times the speed of light, by the order of 10, you use, collectively share between the 4, and the energy you use is at that level in the center created, become matching, and you travel at that speed. Something which is important, which I explained to the knowledge seekers this week. We don't see, and has been one of the mysteries of the world of cosmology, where the speed of the motion of the universe comes from. In the paper I explained, but on the other hand, it is important to understand that the rotation and the speed comes according to the position which the energy needs to be to go and to come to. It's very much what I explained. The light, if there wasn't because of the earth, would not come down towards us that we see it as a daylight. By the same principle, you can use the light which comes from a star for the path to the star. In the future, you don't go and find where the magnetic field is. The star itself, in sending the gravitational magnetic field, will give you its coordinates, its strength, its plasma gravitational magnetic field. And all you need to do in your center core reactor in a free, replicate that. But that what happens, 2 fields, you decide to be closer to it, or you want to be away from it. You get attracted to it by the speed which it sends you the information. These are the new lines of communication, and that's why I said plasma technology is different than the physics. Physics, chemistry, biology is the habit of the man. Universe works in plasma. And there are no communication lines, there are no armies and no factories and no power generators around the universe to move things around. You understand the concept, you understand the principle of the work of a plasma, and then you use it the way you like. And if that doesn't work the way you like it, it means you haven't understood it. Free plasmas are very much copy of the universe. And I go back to something very fundamental. You are in infancy in this knowledge. If you see the black spot to be the free plasma, and if I put the central gravitational magnetic field of the Earth as another position, the position between the two can give you where you want to be in respect to each one in your central core. So, as I taught the knowledge seekers this week, your central column is your GPS unit. How far, how closer you want to submerge below the surface of the Earth, you know what to look for and how to link to the center of the Earth through your detecting system. And this is what's happening to you, and you're wondering that we lose weight, we are gaining weight. What is the position now in the lab? Are we 140? 1340. We're going down. Because what has happened now, the reactors have found themselves with one falling out, a new position somewhere. We have to find out where it is and understand it, then we'll see that how the gravitational magnetical field of the Earth is enforcing its way. If you go down in weight, look at the graphs. We put the graph on all the time on the monitor. There is a reason for it. We have a black, we have a blue. Yeah, we have, no, on the monitor we have a green, we have a red, we have a blue and a white. Yeah, yeah, x-axis, yeah. When you are above the line, it means the fields are coming to the detector. When you are below the line, it means the fields are moving away from the detector. And when you see shapes like this continuously, this shows the forces pushing away, attracting, pushing away, attracting, pushing away, attracting. And so it dictates, it tells you that you have a dynamic plasma condition. We're going to switch the reactors off in coming time and monitor the field flow. And then what you see as a white line, which goes all the time in positive and is somewhere around there, the area underneath is total gravitational magnetic field, which is received or operated in that zone in the free plasma. When you see the x-axis going positive towards the center, this means the detector is receiving because it's coming to it. So this means if the x-axis is pushing, direction of the push, or in respect to y is direction of the flow of the field through the center core. And the z shows you the field push or receive of the plasma in respect to behavior of the plasma itself. So X for you is the behavior of the environment. Y is the flow direction of the field within the core of the plasma. And Z for you is what is the plasma giving or taking. Now you can interpret everything in Mongo what you see. Because your detector, this is your plasma, and your detector sits here. Z, X, let's go by X. X is in this direction. The detector of the X is here. If the field is positive, means the field around the plasma are going clockwise. So your plasma is floating that way. If the field is negative, because the detector is here, it means it's going anti-clockwise. At the same time, when the Y goes positive, because Y is here, it goes into the center. It is along the top. So if it goes this way, means the fields are going to the center from the top. And if it goes this way, negative in respect to your line, means the fields are going. This becomes the North Pole, and underneath becomes the South Pole. Or this becomes the South Pole, and underneath becomes the North Pole. Then you have a third, which is the Z, which shows how far and what strength the field have, and more or less the size of your plasma. Now you can interpret figures. Now, when you look at the X and Y, you look at it positive, negative, whatever. Up to this morning, before we used to be till Sunday all positive. From last Sunday, X and Y went negative. And this morning at 92.9 Tesla, we are all positive again. What does it mean? If you have the plasma, I don't think you can see the yellow easy. If you have the plasma, your detector is sitting here and is positive. So it means the fields are coming into it. They are in that rotation. So part of the plasma has clockwise motion. The Y is positive, which means it's coming into the detector, which means now we have a south at the bottom and a north on the top. And Z is positive too, which means now the plasma is expanding. And now we understand roughly what we have. And the total area under the white gives us a very good indication of the amount of field, which actually is held within the center of the core of the imaginary field at a boundary point. So it's not just looking at the figures, you have to start interpreting the figures and understand how the field goes, how it's been. Up to yesterday, we had the north on the top and the south, south on the top and north on the bottom. Today, now we see a pulse, which is the reverse, which means most of the fields are going through the south, or they behave like, what do you call it, Earth at the moment, or what we call this north and south. And the free plasma is behaving like a positron. It's moving in a clockwise, it's not moving away from it. So it's behaving like a positron. And in moving and changing like a positron, we start seeing new behaviors. So it's not just showing things now, we try to explain that you understand what you're seeing and what is being seen, and understand the total principle. In a coming week, we start teaching you a lot more about behavior of the plasma. Because at the moment, now we just got you to, what they call it, kindergarten. You just seen the toys. Now you have to start working, understanding, measuring, interacting, and creating. And all of you, more or less, can do this in the house. I show you a system which you can do it, you can replicate it, the same as what we've done with the CO2 kits, which we are building it here for you to send it, but you can do it yourself. But now the option is both ways. You can do it, or we can do it, or the Keshe Foundations around the world can do it for you. In so many ways, you have to, or you should have been able by now to create free energies, free energy units. So we start showing this in the coming next week, hopefully, because we have a reactor here, which hopefully Armin can show us how it works, how he measures. He's already started making some measurements, and I think he's happy with what he's got, but we still got more energy we put in because the graphite brushes are putting more pressure on the ball than energy we put in, so it's not correct, but in a way we start measuring a different way, where you can extract and measure the entity and the plasma. The aluminum reactor which Armin has made now, we're testing it. It'll be the cornerstones in a much more grander way, but in a very simple way. It'll be the cornerstones of man analyzing what he sees, what he receives, what he can replicate in the universe. And you can do all sorts of things with it. You can produce bone, or you can produce bone marrow, if you understand how to do it. Or you can produce a condition and replication of a heart, or a galaxy, or a planet. Or if you want, copper or zinc. But now you have to understand more about the measurements. As I said, we are in the infancy of the plasma technology, and in time you all will understand more and more how to do it, the way to do it, and the way it can be done in a simpler way, and we'll see where we go. Any questions?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Keshe. This is Lucian. I have a very quick question because you mentioned my baby.
Good morning.
Yes, first of all, I have a question for you because I didn't understand quite well what do you mean by this imaginary thing. So once you have the 3 reactors to create a reference plan, and one of them, like on the top of them, to create a pyramid, each field is interacting with each other, and what they're calling superposition.
Luciano. Start thinking 3-dimensional. So when you have a reactor, it creates a field. This is your reactor here, the black spot. You see it, or I come more in it? Yes? If this is your reactor, 2.5 centimeter, but this is actually the field of it. And the others 3 in the base, they are very much the same. If I can bring them into play, if you look at it, these are the 3, but they're about the same size, the same strength, and they create a magnetic field which is spherical here in the middle. It's somewhere, if I put this on the top, because they interact in 3-dimensional, this is your field somewhere here. If I put this on top of the camera that you can see, these are your 3 base on the top. These are 3-dimensional. There is no gap in between. So they create a spherical plasma here, somewhere here in where the green ball is. So as you see in this ball, if the matter is slows enough, have a look. There's a cow in it or a dog in it. It leads to the matter in the center of it. You convert the plasma to matter condition and what you call physicality, tangibility. So if you can create the right condition, in the center of your reactor, you can drop fat, aluminum, whatever you like. But there's nothing there, but in the center it rains gold. This is what you have to understand. It's a three-dimensional, not a single field.
So you are trying to say that basically into the inside of the, let's say, pyramid, there is a friction of the three magnetic fields of each reactor in the corners. Four. Excuse me. Yeah. Four.
Yes.
So that you was calling the imaginary field.
Well, we call it a free plasma. Free magma.
Free plasma.
Whatever you want to call it, yeah.
Gotcha. Because now I'm coming to what you were saying.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting like a, let's say, as you mentioned, like a ferrite bar filled with copper oxide GaNs, and now I have a way to position this somehow, manually, I'm guessing, into the imaginary pyramid, that means technically you should find a way in which you are going to the copper strength and get some electric power.
Bravo.
From your coil.
Bravo.
Yeah, I'm asking you because
No, Luciana.
Yes.
You got to realize one piece you're missing in your line of thought. The material is nano-coated outside. Inside is copper. You use the plasma. You got it? You understand? You use the energy of the plasma in interaction with nano-coat to extract what you need, and the interaction between the nano-coat and the matter, you extract the energy you need.
I understand now.
You understand now. Thank you very much.
Yes, I understand.
Now you understand. So now you understand you don't need to have a separate power and generator unit and separate plasma unit for gravitational magnetic field. So this is how the Earth works. This is how the universe keeps its charges. And if you read the paper, this is how the love of God is spread amongst the creation in the universe. According to the strength.
What I wanted to advise you is that I have the regular cup, the regular water filled with CO2 GaNs. So usually these cells are putting somewhere like 300 millivolts out. At the moment in which
excuse me, Luciana. We passed that point. Now try to put 4 cups in a position with the plasma. Then you will understand, you feel, you work with megawatts and kilowatts. Depends in where you want to be in according to the center of the plasma. Now, if I can explain to you, I did this yesterday with the children. 1 second. Just stand by 1 second. I have to find it, then I can explain it. Anybody seen the screws we had here yesterday? Oh, there they are. There we are. I think you'll understand this very quickly. We put these away. You will understand this immediately, what I'm talking about. You can see this plasma. This is the shape of a plasma. These are magnets hollow. Now, this is your free plasma, and this is your nano copper coated bar. If you look at it, I'll put it sideways. If you, let me see if you can see it properly in a bright light. I'll bring the light up that you can see it. This is the bar, the unit sitting on the sideways. This is the black bar you see going from the top down. You want milliwatts from the center bar, you go to the boundaries of the free plasma on the main bar. You want kilowatts, you go to the middle ring. You want megawatts, you go to the center by order of magnitude. This is when we showed that bar, and I saw if you see between the black and green line, the black and green line is somewhere here. And as you go to the center, you increase the absorption of energy from the plasma you have created by the order of magnitude. The 92 Tesla you see, it comes from here. Somewhere literally in the border between this and this, let's say. If you go to here, you go in trillion Teslas. And the pulse is not single linear, one pulse. It's the whole plasma pulsing. So the energy absorbed is huge. So if you understood this, you have a nano-coated material, you have a plasma which is returning. The field here, the cover is a nano-coated. The center is copper. You tested with your people when you put the winding on the surface of your coil. You've seen the DC, AC. How much DC you want to absorb, how much DC you want to absorb, how much AC you want to release. Then you can run power generator motors, or you can run lighting or whatever you like. This is the game change. This is what now we speak about the plasma technology than anything else. In fact, if I bring this, open the plasma in a very simple way, if you cut the plasma open, this is the center here, and this is the boundary, and the screw goes here in the middle. If you want lower energy, you go at the boundary, millivolts, milliwatts. And then as you come in by order of magnitude, you increase your plasma. I do it this way. Wait 1 second. There we are. Let's do it with this. You understand it immediately. This is the fields which are there. Let's put this one in order. It looks like my hair. It's shambled. There's not much in there. So you have this in the center. And as you see it, as you go, the fields weaker, and it comes to the center, you go by the order of magnitude. So, as I said, it goes from milliwatts to watts, which you only have tools to measure, from the same plasma. Don't forget the plasma, as you see on the bar, which shows itself. It starts from the principal strength to matter strength. It has the full attributes of a single cell plasma. Now you can produce what you like at a point of demand and create the motion and the energy as you need. Any other question? The good thing is with the children's
just one
program,
very short
he has
use.
brought us a lot of toys here to make explanation easier. Yes, carry on.
A very short one. You said that you can suggest us a system that we can do it on our tabletop to play with.
Yeah.
So how
You
will
want me to
that
buy
be?
you the toy as well?
I think that should be the next new product from the Keshe Foundation. It'd be a little toy kit for us, for our inner children.
We have talked about it. If you want to get the system the way we have to be fully set done, I've spoken with the Italians to build a full system replication of what we have here, and the same as with Arman created. They're talking about Arman cost you about what, 2,500, 2,500. Paying the labor of doing it, putting it to they're talking about 4,000 or 5,000. You can buy a full preset unit from us here as a kit. but I don't think many people would like to buy a kit. I don't advise you to do it because there is more to come. When it's a full set, then we tell you, yes, we will give you a kit. Because this is still in a running position. And in time, if you understand it and if I can explain it and we can sustain it, the four pyramids, four reactors which we have in the structure, I show you how you can hang it with no motors and with no physical connection. They'll be hovering in their position all the time. This is how the stars are kept in their position. So it's very easy to make, you don't need to do much, but your knowledge is not there, and if you can't keep it, the ball will fly at the speed of light at you, and you don't want to hold through your heart. We see what you can do, but in a few months' time, as your knowledge expands and you understand more, we can tell you how you can make systems more or less at home without motors. As I always say, there is no motors in the universe. So we show you how the stars suspend and find their position. If you can create the right ganses, what do you call it? Then you can produce systems not necessarily made of copper, but again goes back to our beautiful friends in Japan. They don't know what they have in their hands in Fukushima, and that's how yesterday they're trying to open it up, and they say we're going to clean it up. How many lives we're going to lose, I don't know, but if I was here, if I was in place of the Japanese, I keep the reactors, let them leak, and collect as much water as you can. But they don't understand it. It's a stupid thing what they are doing, but as I said, Christ said, oh God, forgive them, they don't know what they do. This accident is the gift to the Japanese, and they're going to open it up to clean it up. Clean what? You're getting free system which the universe begs for to have. If the Martians were here, would have put all the Japanese leaders and the TEPCO into spaceship and send them to the moon, because they don't know what they're receiving, what they have in their hand, and how they're going to clean it up. If you don't clean it up and what is getting produced, and you understand the process, Japan becomes the supplies and it becomes the, what do you call it, Saudi Arabia of the energy, but what they are producing. But they don't understand it. Because now we have a problem with the gas of CO2 because it's got mass inertia. If we can reach, which I know how to do it, to extract the tritiums from these waters and change them to their gas, which is very easy, then you have a full flow, unsinkable, sedimented gas. Then you can run the reactors without the positioning. In a way, what all you need to do is, like if you remember when we were children, we used to have this thing, what do you call it? You used to turn it on the head and you used to rotate. What do you call it? The top. Yeah? You know, all you need to know, you rotate it and then it finds its position and speed, then you have your system for energy and everything else. But unfortunately, it's stupid what the Japanese are going to do to clean up, but they don't know, they have no insight into what is sitting on their hand. And we have a meeting with the Japanese early November, and we're going through the kindergarten position with them at the moment to see, and at the same time we're asking them please not to touch the reactors, let it leak as much as you like, and collect as much cesium as you can. Sorry, tritium as you can. It's a God-given gift, and these people have no clue what they're doing with it. To them it's harmful, but to them, to me as a plasma physicist, it's a gift of God. When God loves you, gives you a gift, and these people have received the gift, they don't know what to do with it. Next question.
So if that's the case, then isn't the tritium coming from Fukushima pretty much all the way around the world now?
Not the way it's concentrated in those tanks.
No.
No, not the waste. We have free tritium everywhere. We can extract it. But the tritium in Fukushima tanks are very easy to convert to a GaNs. You can convert the tritium to a GaNs if you can extract its neutron. The extra neutron extracted from it, which I know how to do it, gives you a GaNs state of the hydrogen. And again, if you look at it, why? Even the tritium, if you can change the tritium as a GaNs, you already have got in your hand star formation. But either way, they don't let us have access to it. We received some water from Fukushima here in the center. We're holding about a liter of it. But if you look into the tritium itself, you have 3 protons and 1 electron. The 2 proton neutrons are called proton because they are near enough. So you have a balanced base and you have your electron. If you know how to use it, you got your pyramid. Because that electron is, and it's very easy to convert this to a GaNs. And if you can put millions and millions of the star formations together in a reactor, you can imagine what power is sitting in your hand. And the Japanese are not, they don't understand what they are doing. You can convert the tritium in a very easy way to a GaNs of itself, and I said this months ago. And they don't understand. So why tritium is important in the space technology. You have very much millions and millions of what do you call it, star formations, balanced fields, which then they release their energy in the right way. Then you can create any matter you need within the space and find your position anywhere in the universe. At the moment we have CO2. This is creating problem. The concentration of the plasmas is too much. The other one you have is CuO. Maybe the nearest we ever get to is CH3. But if the Japanese allow us to have access to tritium, oh God, we go ahead by about 50 years in the space technology on this planet. But you have to know how to convert tritium as a matter to a gas to be able to use its properties. Because you have to stabilize the magnetic field of the electron inside as a plasma. Because then you create the same kind of energy fields inside the plasma, which gives you, in conjunction with the others, the star formation. Because don't forget, the GaNs of the matter is one plasma, but it behaves as in matter condition, so it still behaves as a star formation. Next question. Or we go to Arman's teaching. Arman is shocked. As you know, it's been a problem for a lot of people to produce GaNs materials or plating or nano-coated, what do you call it, materials. And Arman has made the art of this thing at the moment here. So he can go through whatever he has. He's done it for a long time. And then maybe a lot of people can get a perfect nanomaterial and GaNs materials as they need. Arman, you're on the hot seat. Are you going on your own? Who's that? Is Brad?
Yeah. I wanted to know if lithium batteries, do they have small amounts of lithium-6 in them that we can use to make tritium or extract it somehow?
No, you don't need that.
Okay.
That's eating, putting your hand between your legs and back of your head to your mouth is too difficult. It's an easier way to do it. Okay, Arman takes over. Do you want a headphone? There you go. Have you shared the videos with...
Thank you, Mr. Kesh.
everybody.
Hello, Armin. How are you doing?
How, after Mr. Cash talks, you don't have anything else to say. You just have to sit down and digest all the information that he gives us, But anyway, I can still explain the functionality of the reactors, how to build. Yeah, you cannot hear me? Okay. Let me clear my throat. Where to start? Okay.
Are you going to use the video there?
Load up the GANs. Rick, can we go number one
Sure.
section that we talked yesterday night?
You already done work with it. Oh, bravo!
And you're talking about Gans Reload album?
Did you want to?
Okay. Sorry, go ahead, Vince.
Did you stop the camera, or are you going to need the camera, Armin?
Just stop the camera.
I'll stop the camera.
Okay.
And Rick, can you share the screen by chance?
I can try.
Please and thank you.
Just a second, I'll have to see if I can find it here.
Section first,
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Skype's gonna like it or not. You're getting a screen share now on the Skype.
Okay.
Not yet. It's circle.
You could go to Armin's Facebook and show that on the GoToMeeting, I suppose.
Facebook, actually, the first picture, we are changing GANs actually from CO2 to copper oxide. And what I want to show, it's a very simple setup inside. We see the pin. It's nano-coated. And to have spheres that the rubber, you can see, it's an O-ring. So it's very simple actually, and you have to have a good closing system that for a first I will build the system that you can open it easily to check inside inside how the plasma behaves. And you can see after when you're opening it, after rotating few days, you can see that all the GANs is gonna stick around the wall. This way you can, build up the layers. It depends how thick you want your GANs in there. Slowly you can rotate them, then withdraw the water slowly, and add more GANs. This way you can build up a good layer of GANs. And that's what we're doing in actually lab, that when we increase the GANs and we added a fifth reactor, we right away, me and Marco saw the changes immediate. We never seen the figures like that. It was 54,000 when first we saw. When we thought that it was a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
After that, Mr. Cash explained, like we added fifth reactor, And from that day, actually, we went on live stream live, and you know. Five Tesla, yeah, around 5 Tesla. So we right away saw how the fields interact with each other, how we enforce it, you know, the change with just positioning one reactor and closing the loop, because we had one reactor missing from star formation in the middle. So to create GANS reactor, it's not a it's a very easy process. The size doesn't matter. As smaller you can build, I think, you know, it's same effect if you know how to operate them. We can see the sixth reactor that we added, me and Marco actually, it's just a toy, which we bought it in China, you know, shop, and you know, it's a bulb, and the motors that I had, and we created shaft, nano coated it, and start to rotate to see the change, and suddenly it's affected to the whole system. We didn't even realize it what we did. We just you know, connected another reactor. But the change immediately it happened, you know, and our system started to gain weight. And we were wondering why.
I'm just showing the 6 reactor pictures there now, Armin, for you.
What I want to say, it's
Yeah,
a,
Rick,
it's a
you can stop
simple,
your screen sharing
if
because it's
you
not working on this side.
understand it. And why it stopped now? Because the bearing, I think it's filled up with GANs, so that's why it's burned out, the motor. I think we never been in. So that's why it stopped. Yeah, we knew that from the beginning. Any question that you want to ask me about the reactors, I'm gladly will answer it to you.
Yes, Armin, could you give us some details on the 6th reactor? For example, we see a picture there now on the live stream. We see a motor with the wiring attached to it, and then we see a jar underneath. And the way I understand it, the jar does not rotate. And can you explain what is found?
If you go further, there's a picture that it's an open jar that you can see inside.
Okay, there's a good picture of
the second
jar
container.
with your hand on it there.
Yes, that's the bulb. You know, it's a plastic bulb which Marco actually nano coated it too, and we put GANs. It's a CO2 GANs, but it's almost turned brown because of maybe the friction with a nanomaterial inside. And we have a pin which rotates the motor. Actually, it's a motor shaft, you know, which we nano coated, and a bearing. As simple as is. So now, the pin inside, it's rotating high speed. It was rotating, I think, 3,000 rounds per minute. And I left it maybe 4,000 rounds per minute. So we have two GANs interaction. With the middle shaft, nano-coated. Just look at the size and the effect we had. We've seen on the star formation how it affected this small jar. And it changed it totally. Yeah, size doesn't count. Yes. So any questions? Simplicity sometimes gives you so much wonders, so. You can see it yourself.
We do have a question from Vitor. I'm not sure if it's appropriate right now, but we can ask it anyways, which is, what about the influence of our own reactors in the world GPS and communications, and how to deal with it?
Wow.
Is that something you'd like to
I
take
think,
on?
it's just a tip of the, it's a tip of the knowledge we're just getting now, and trying to understand the rest. How we're going to operate and deal, I think it will come, to us because it's there. We just have to understand it and try to build this kind of reactors and test it ourselves to understand more. So, but everybody will understand, this knowledge as the point they will understand. Some of them they can control, some of them they don't.
I have a question about how is the plastic nano-coated, or not nano-coated? Is it the GaNs? What was it? Where's the question? How is the plastic?
We put it in a caustic.
How is the plastic nano-coated? Was the question. I think they mean the plastic sphere inside your glass jar there.
Do you think if we use caustic, it affects only the material that we put inside? Sure, some, plastic, will be nano-coated too because of the heat.
Did you put sodium hydroxide inside the plastic sphere, or you mean do there be some residual left?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You actually use the plastic sphere to create the nanomaterial inside the sphere. Is that correct, or?
Correct. We try to nano-coat everything. whatever it gets to our now.
You name it, we'll nano-coat it.
You name
right.
it, we nano-coat it. Yeah, we don't touch the dog. Any other question?
Is the sphere filled with CO2 GaNs is another question.
Yes.
I believe there's two kinds of GaNs, is there not, on the inner and outer parts of
the... One of the reactors we change it with copper oxide, then we change it back. We try to understand the interaction of different GaNs. And we saw how the copper oxide sphere start to act as a more of a gravitational. So you can do combination of fields. Any other question?
I have a very quick one, Armin. In my hello.
With my pleasure, Lucian.
Okay, I have a very quick question, Armin, for you. I have a couple of cups, regular stuff, not rotating. And on some of them, the CO2 GaNs, which is, something like some little spheres, are transforming themselves in some sort of sticking glue, like a film, on the bottom and on the, how to say, cylinder, I mean the periphery of the cup. So did you guys experience something like that, or maybe I have something wrong myself? Or in other words, that CO2 gas is sticking on the walls and stays there. You need like a knife to get it out from the plastic.
It's dried up? You're saying it's dried up? Lucian. Hello? He's gone.
Yes, but it's under the water. It's...
Yeah, but...
Yes.
Yeah, 1 minute.
No, I'm here.
No, just wait, Lucian, we're trying to explain. I tried to explain because we've seen this and we use this property. When you have the guns in rotation in these cores, the guns does not go out spherically to the whole cross-section of the sphere inside the core. It becomes a belt within, I can say, 1 centimeter or less in the line of equator. So, yeah, but it happens. It's the same thing. So what happens is that the top of the two spheres, the two half of the sphere, the two poles, it's totally free of any GaNs material attached to it at the high speed. But when you have the cups, you put water in it and it dries, you convert matter. You convert the GaNs into its matter state, but as a GaNs. You got to keep the GaNs always on the liquid. In the cores, they
Okay,
stay...
I understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
In the live stream there, I just posted a picture of my ping pong ball reactor rotating at high speed with the light behind it. And you can see there's liquid inside. I've actually got jam inside. And it's spinning and it forms that ring you're talking about around the center part. And the top and bottom are open, basically.
Yeah, the GaNs material, it's... if you look at it, it's just in that belt is less than a few micron.
If you continue adding the fluid to it, it does tend to start going toward the bottom, especially, and to the top eventually of the sphere when it's rotating. And if you rotate it slower, the fluid, of course, will tend to go toward the bottom and fill the bottom area.
Yes, but you have to realize in our cores we have a central pin which creates gravitational magnetic field. Here you just look at the performance of the GaNs with the rotation. But in our system we have that central pin which creates its own gravitational magnetic field. So there's more or less it gets centralized. We don't see, it doesn't matter, we've been up to 7,000, 8,000, 6,000 rotation. We don't see any, what do you call it, any spread of the belt. The belt is constant.
That's right. I've tried it as well up to those RPMs, and it essentially looks the same. It'll change a little bit, but not very much. It's surprising.
No, but with a central core, when you have the central pin, the way Armand done it, the way we see it in your picture, now you have a dynamic gravitational magnetic field outside and semi-dynamic gravitational magnetic field on the GaNs pin. So you create a gravitational field between the two, a magnetical field between the two. So somewhere between the pin and this layer which you see in the light, there is a line of field interaction of the magraves. Oh, I'll give the thing back to Armin.
Yes. Any other questions? Please ask every question about the reactors.
Yes, there. What's that back there? What's that comment? We can't hear.
No, nanomaterials, we're gonna do the video, me and Marco, to show it that way. How to make.
Next week we show nanomaterials how to make.
Yeah, how to make.
Okay. Well, yeah, there was a question in the live stream that I think it's Lixon wanted to know about the more information about the plastic nano coating. I believe it was there. I can't see the question, but about the nano coating of the plastic. She wants to know more about the process. Now, is the plastic actually nano coated, or is there just GANs inside the plastic reactor?
That's Marco's department. 1 minute.
Okay, what I noticed on the plastic was that you can observe voltage on the plastic. And so where this voltage comes from, it comes from like nanomaterial on the top of the plastic. And so we try to nano coat also plastic. We just put it in caustic, and you leave it in the caustic, and sometimes you observe this, you get nano coating, sometimes you don't get. It's not always the same, but yeah, it depends also on the type of the plastic you're using, temperature in the caustic, what type of caustic. It's a lot of different factors, but in general, when you get nano coating on the plastic, you can use your voltmeter, and you will observe small voltages when it's nano coated.
I've also done this on acrylic.
Yeah, it's also
Pretty much anything.
Yeah, it's also a type of plastic.
And also plastics such as ping pong ball, when you rotate it at high speeds and you have a vacuum inside, or a partial vacuum with a little bit of air, it will actually light up from the glow of it's like a plasma ball. If you touch it with your hand when it's rotating, touch it with your fingers, and it will actually create the what's commonly called static electricity, or the buildup of charges, and cause it to glow. It's a strange phenomenon called the Hawksby effect.
Can you repeat, Rick?
Okay, so there's lots of questions on live stream.
Okay, I'll just briefly repeat. It's what happens with the plastic or a glass sphere when it's rotated at high speeds is that it will build up a static charge if you are to put your hand on it, and will cause it to glow. It was actually the first form of electricity back in the 1600s, where a guy called Hawksby, who was the assistant to Newton, Isaac Newton, demonstrated these glowing globes that were partially evacuated. And it was the first form of electricity. They didn't even have a battery yet to put the electricity into, so they didn't have much use for it except to read newspapers at night. Anyway, it's an interesting phenomenon that you can look into more, this idea that a rotating globe can actually pick up the ambient energy, and it could transpose it into the GANs inside, is the way I look at it. The GANs is picking up on absorbing that energy and transforming it. But I could be wrong on that as well. carry on.
Okay, so let's go into some questions from the
Right.
live stream because there's lots, and so I guess I'll ask a question from Isaiah. Is the plasma weaker in the 6 reactor because only the nano is spinning and not the GANs?
But who said it's weaker? It's equal.
He's asking if it is weaker. If so, it's
No,
equal.
no. Yeah. See, you know, it's CO2. See how much our reactor gained weight from this one small reactor. It was unbelievable. Anyway, our skin is nano-coated. The same way we absorb energy from sun. So we're not been in a caustic. But our skin is nano-coated in 3 layers.
The interesting thing is, Eric Clausen, what's his name? Clausen? Eric Clausen.
Yeah.
You know, something interesting has come with which one of the what do you call it? Forum followers has done. I think in Germany, he nano-coated a Coca-Cola bottle. Eric Clausen, he's done that. He wrote to us back as a report. I think you've seen it as well. And he took it to these machines where you can put a plastic or a can of Coke. And the machine rejected the bottle of Coca-Cola because it's now had a magnetic field like being a steel. So he couldn't deposit the plastic, which it indicates directly that if you want to know if your bottle is nano-coated, take it to one of these Coca-Cola machines and give it to it. And if it rejects, it gives you as a perfect nano-coated material. Because it creates, what do you call it, gravitational magnetic field in the layer of the nanomaterial, it very much behaves as a metal, or the present systems detect as to be a metal. And what do you call it, the waste machine or waste system for plastic does not accept it, and it rejects it out as a metal. So then it gives you a good indication if you've done a good nano coating. There's a lot of nice tests coming around the world by different knowledge seekers. Eric Larsson's hopefully, I was speaking with him last night on the Skype. He can show us how to produce, if the evaluation comes correct, he can show us how to produce gold from fresh air. He's already corrected a small amount with a very, very simple test. And so we see if then you can produce gold from, GANs of gold from the fresh air the way he's doing it. Very, very simple. The cap of, I think it's an ice cream or a yogurt container, he's collecting quite a lot of material. Yeah, he's making a lot of material. But we have to establish if it's coming from the little piece of gold he has, or is it coming from the atmosphere. But it's effective. Thank you. I'll give the headphone back to Armin to answer you.
Any other questions, guys?
Oh, there's lots, Armin. You be prepared.
Go through everyone. Go through every single one as we can answer.
You want to go ahead
Yep,
there,
we'll go
Vince?
through 'em. I'll go ahead, yep.
Okay.
So
Go ahead.
okay, sorry. Isaiah Noble again. In the metal, needs electricity to structure the layers. How to structure the layers with plastic with electricity as well?
What?
What?
I think what
How
he's trying
plastic-
to
like-
get to is the using the multimeter on the copper, how we do now with the layers when we are in the second process. Does that need to also be done on the plastic?
Plastic is if we understand what nano coating is, we can understand that the plastic, when we say nano coating, it's the same structure what is doing on a surface of copper. but it, you know, it's a could be. I never seen it actually, the picture that I can explain it more detailed, but my understanding it's same gap and hole.
So now we go on 2 headphones between Armin's and this one, if we need to answer one up. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it's in the headphone now, isn't it? It's the other way. Put yours, go on your property and change it. Okay, what's the next question?
Okay. Next question. I think we've already answered it, but I'll ask it anyways. It's from Jack H. Plastic melts with hot NOH. Do we use lower temperature? I do believe the answer that we already said was yes.
If we've been using Coca-Cola bottles for a long time. If you leave the cap open for a few minutes after you put a Coca-Cola bottle with a caustic in it, you'll find it keeps its shape. If you are using plastics which can be affected by heat, use what we call as a steaming. What we do, sometimes we don't want our material to go, especially if you have a thin aluminum. If you put it in a caustic, it just disappears, it evaporates more or less, or mixes in the caustic. So what we do, we hang it above, just above the liquid. We don't let the liquid touch it. And we immediately, once we put hot water on the caustic, we close it. And we call it by, more or less, we steam it. It's like making a steam cooking. And you find out you still reach the same condition. And you create a very thin layer on top. My advice to some of the people who are trying to make a very effective GANS layers. If you're trying to make effective GANS layers for nano layers for GANS, is to, let's say you have a copper wire or a copper plate, put it in a caustic, and leave it for 24 hours. Then take it out of the caustic, leave it for 24 hours, connecting the voltmeter to it, that it gives a direction of flow. Then dip it back in the caustic if you want a very powerful layer, and then hang it again to dry or to process itself. And then the third time, if you make a caustic bed and steam it with caustic, what I just explained to you, you do it with plastic, you'll find out the upper layers become like a powder, they become like a fluff, they become like a sponge. And you hang it again after 24 hours, and you find you get a powdery, velvety layer. Because now not only you have open layers of atomic structure into nano layers, now you have created a more separation on the upper layer. And then when you use this in conjunction with the GANS, sometimes they become mixed with the GANS because they're not bonded so strongly, and they become, what do you call it, part of the GANS liquid which you use, and then they interact. There is a question in a lot of people when they use a GANS in conjunction with nano layers, you see your material going dark. We've seen it now in the lab, but I explained to Armin now why he's getting that. Is that you convert the copper oxide, which is in a container, or CO2, which is in a container, to absorb the full spectrum as the nanomaterial. Now, this is what I said, if you want to travel with the speed of 10 times the speed of light, you go to different strength by order, you'll find that the GANS materials have this habit. They change too. So, because you had a nanomaterial, nano GANS layer cannot increase its strength to the upper limit as a CO2, copper oxide. So the copper oxide releases some of the energy to become the CO2. So you get your liquid becoming a dark, and you think you lost your CO2. But your CO2 becomes and takes the structure that it absorbs the spectrum now, behaves like a nanomaterial. A full nanomaterial than the GaNs of the material. It's as a GaNs of nano GaNs in a way. Now it shows itself to absorb the full radiation. This we see in the structure of the brain where you have the dark layers. This can be explained in a simple way. When we come to it, I'll explain it in more detail. That's the next question.
The next question is the sphere with the pin nano-coated from the inside?
What, the pin?
Yes. Is the pin inside, is that also nano-coated? Is it a hollow pin or is it a solid pin?
It's a solid pin. It's a solid pin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a solid pin. It's a solid pin. Arman and Marco made it and coated it and did all sorts of things with it. I think it's a film of copper, isn't it? Yeah. Which is stuck in the middle. It's a film of copper which has been coated, but it's been stuck on a big other. Pardon?
What is the material that it's made out of then?
Copper. It's a.
Which one? Which actually reactor?
Which reactor are we talking about? Is it the small one, the fast rotating one?
I don't think it's the one with the glass. I think it's the copper reactor with
these are
nano.
solid. These are solid. These are solid reactors. Solid coppers is coated outside, and Arman took a lot of care for it not to be touched when he was fixing it to the center.
So the rod that's going from the middle reactor to the motor on the bottom, is that also solid?
Yes.
Yes, everything is solid. It's one piece. Okay. What it is, it's like a pinball, a pinhead, and a hole at the end of the pin, and in that hole in the center of the bottom gets screwed to the whole structure of the ball, the core. It's very much the game of the Russians and Americans in the 50s, I always say. How small you make the hole, you can fix it to it. You know the story. I always repeat this because I think it's wonderful how they did. The Americans sent a matchbox to the Russians in the 50s, and they waited for a while, and then they thought, oh, the Russians never understood what we sent them, this little, what do you call it, matchbox. And then after a while, they received a matchbox, and they said, the stupid people never understood the Russians. The Russians sent a message back to the Americans, look inside the hole in the wire. What it was, the Americans sent the finest wire they could ever produce, and they wanted to show to the Russians that we can use such a fine wire that you can't even see in the box. At that time, nobody knew, but the Russians had access to the most advanced laser technology. They made a hole in that wire, and they sent it back as a tube. So this is the story of this is the story of what we are trying to achieve. The hole in this pin is so thin, it's just Arman knows where it is because he made it. Somehow he fiddles with these little Allen keys and closes and opens these pins and puts them in, and we take them out. But everything is solid, it's solid copper.
Okay, thank you. Another question from Isaiah is, what happens when you mix GaNs inside?
Nothing, it stays separate. Go back to the book number 2. We have shown in the, can I have a book number 2, please, Marco? If you go back in book number 2, we especially, Dirk took a special picture that to show, pardon? Let me just find the picture, just 1 second, if I can find it. Yeah, we thought, because that time was early times of the GaNs, and in the picture, Yes, in the picture number 42 pictures, you see the yellow GANs and the green GANs. You cannot mix GANSes. You see the separation because they're a spherical ball, absorb different kind of energy. They stay separate, and we put 2 pictures of this on. But when you do high speed rotation, then you will see that they look like they're mixed, but they are not never mixed. If you wash them, they separate. If you have used the aluminum plate with a copper nano coated, you see the green and the white mixing. There's a way you can separate your greens from the whites. So it's like balls, two green and the white balls never mix. They're balls and they stay a sphere of their own. Understand that the GANs is a ball of an atom or a molecule which you are looking at, which in the world of physics you need huge electronic systems to see the electron because of rotation. Every single GANs you see is one molecule energy, plasma. Every little dot you see, a little balls you see in your GANs is the first time man can see individual molecules with the naked eye. So you see so many of them. There are still different colors, but you can mix them. But the difference is that they share energy. They share gravitational magnetic field flow. So in some cases, some of them, in trying to match, not to steal and not to give too much, they become a new color. This is what I say, thou shalt not steal. Even in the plasma world exists. Next question. I see someone.
The next question is from the lovely Mrs. Dr. Elia, and it is: could we accept pelvic reactor in body like Earth core reactors, how you, sir, show on picture?
What is pelvic?
The pelvic reactor, the intestinal reactor. Is that what you? I think that's what you mean, Elia.
It's a medical terminology. You see, she has to show she's cleverer than us. Go on, Elia, explain it first.
I think she's in the live stream. Excuse me. I think she's in the live stream, but I'm waiting just for a reply. I don't have any questions yet. Otherwise,
yes, it says yes. She just posted it. We see it. It says yes on the Skype.
Okay,
what was the question that she said yes to? Pelvic is 3-1. We'll speak about this later on in the medical section. Yes, it is. I saw somebody says, can you fill up a core with more GANs? I think came from Brad, I could see it. Go further up. It says, can you fill the reactors with too much GANs? You cannot fill it with what it cannot absorb, huh? We tried it. Armand waits and waits for the water to sink, the sediment of the GANs to sit down, to settle, and then he extracts it, extracts the water, and then add more GANs, and then we still have more water. Because the gravitational field still keeps a tighter connection, but less water due to the gravitational mass. We saw this from the beginning of the first time we had the GANs. The more water we take, the more it goes further down, and we still have more water. It's just that in the pressure, gravitational magnetic field pressure, which squeezes the water out, but still they need that separation from each other. And in that separation, still some atomic molecular, what do you call it, materials stays like water or hydrogen. Okay, any other question? Yeah, 10:30. There is a couple of things
so
we
we're
need
down
to go.
to 1332 at the
13?
SSI. 13 kilograms, 32 grams,
Oh,
320 grams.
that means that we are losing weight. Yeah, it's going for a marathon. Yeah, we got to see if we go below 1162. This is what the process is. As I explained to you live on the what do you call it, live stream. You see the behavior of a GANS. It can only take what the environment gives to it and what it can give to the environment, and find its balanced position. The position is, yeah, it's 1332. We are still coming down. The position is that if by the 4th reactor or the 6th reactor to be out, yeah, it's a 6th reactor now is out, it's getting, but don't forget it's still there. Now because it's not rotating, it doesn't mean that it's disappeared. Its fields are still dynamic, it's still in the liquid, and they interact with the other cores. So we have to see what changes made. Because of no physical rotation, it has changed its speed of the leakage. This is what I was going to say, and in the first part I forgot to explain to you. Let me explain something very, very simple but fundamental in the physics. In the plasma. In the future, when we go into space, or when we start now, in the coming days and weeks, you start seeing what I'm talking about because you understand it in a very clear way. We do not change, or we do not go to move into different layers of the strength. If you put the camera on, I explain this because this is absolutely fundamental. Yeah, I'll go back in my position because I moved around the table. I'm back in. We're back on the screen. Understand what I'm trying to explain, because it came to my head in my talks and I forgot, but I explained this to the knowledge seekers in the past couple of days. Let's say this is a reactor. And let's say this is the GANS in the reactor. If you want to change the speed of the plasmatic flow, or as Mark likes to say, this gradient, you cannot increase the speed of rotation. The speed of rotation means nothing. But how you speed up the rotation of the plasma, not the core, is by injection of plasmatic gravitational current in the inner layers of the ganses. So what you do, in a way, by changing it, if you know which one you can increase, now the core GANs become here than being here. As you come to the center, your power increases by the factor. Then you go, for example, at the speed of light in this layer to 1,000 times the speed of light in this layer. So you change the strength of your plasma and interaction with the other field in the environment through change and injection of the gravitational magnetic field, plasma, or current into the plasma. So it's instantaneous. You don't need to wait and increase your speed from 10,000 to 20,000 or whatever. That is when you're dealing with matter inertia. Even though the plasma itself has its own inertia, by impulse, by increasing gravitational magnetic field impulse or reducing magnetical side of the impulse, you decide in what layer and how you push your GaNs materials. So again, even though you sit in a core, you still have that gradient by the order of magnitude in reverse. So at this level, you're at the speed of light, 1. At this level, you are a speed of light by 100. Here, you're by 10,000. So through impulse of the fields, you change the position and the strength of your magnetic field plasma, and you dictate. Then here, you can go into the further distance galaxies or the stars, where here you want to go within a galaxy. So the impulse of the current flow of plasmatic magnetic field within the reactor gives you instant reaction in where you want to. In a way, you open or you kick or you bring the plasma towards the center or away from the center. And this will, in time, I'll show you how it's done. Then it dictates the speed of the motion. And so you don't need to increase the rotation, and you don't need to, what do you call it, go into the physical condition to create it. You create it with that pulse or current flow. When we talk about the current in plasma, we are talking about maglev current. We're not talking about electron or electrical current. Unless I indicate that we are talking about the electric current, every time I speak about the current, we're talking about plasmatic, which is gravitational magnetic field. Then you suddenly increase your speed, or you extract the plasma of the GaNs to the center, and then you go up by the order of magnitude. One of the things which is very easy for you at the moment as we work with the water and matter and GaNs is that in the core, which we see, the copper core, we have a center, which is nano-coated, and then we have a reactor. And then here, when, as we just seen with the core of Rick, we have a nano layer like this, which goes to the extremes. What do you see? This is that. And in the middle, we have water between this and this. This is full with water. This is what we extract, and we increase the amount of CO2. This water, once it gets to this condition, is not water in a matter state, is a water in a GaNs state, and behaves that way. Even though we extract it as water, but this water behaves as a GaNs. It does not have a property of a matter. It has the property of the GaNs of the water. This is what we spoke last week with the health section, with the teaching with the lung. Once you breathe air in, the minute the air touches the liquid, this liquid, because it's produced in conjunction with the nano layers and the shape of the lung, converts the matter state of the what you breathe in to the GaNs of itself, of that matter. So the liquid here itself in the reactor, because it's a gravitational magnetic field, is gravitational magnetic field, so it shows its property as a gravitational magnetic field, not as an atomic structure in physics. So here the water is totally in a GaNs behavior state while it's in the reactor. And if
is it a different GaNs state than the what GaNs you have in there, or is it the same structure?
It's the same structure, but the behavior becomes GaNs. The behavior is GaNs. It's very much like the same
structure as water, but the behavior is GaNs.
Behavior GaNs. It's the same as the blood. While the blood is in your vein, behaves as a GaNs of blood. You extract it for blood test. It behaves as the matter of it. That's why you can measure and say there is so much calcium, there is so much potassium, you have so much water, whatever in your blood. Because once the body inside is in a vacuum condition, and when you extract the blood, it has to behave in a matter condition of the environment. As the second you extract the blood from the vein and leaves the extremity of the physical body, it changes back into the matter condition because now you have an electron and a proton. But while it's in the blood, it behaves exactly like a GANS. That's what I said. When it's a GANS, you see it as one molecule. When it's a matter, you cannot see it because now it's split into atom and a proton. This is what you got to understand. The behavior in plasma is different than the behavior in the matter and physics condition. And this is one of them. Because now you have two nano layer is gravitational magnetic field. GANS is gravitational magnetic field. And anything in between has to behave the same way. So it changes the behavior because for the two to link up, they need. Yeah. Yeah. What happened is that the nano layer is in a, what do you call it, magnetic state in the center. And the GANS is in a gravitational magnetic field. These two communicate on magnetic gravitational field. And anything in between, because it's so instantaneous, cannot become anything but to change that it can accommodate this transfer of information or energy. So the water is behaving like a GANS order, so it uses its gravitational magnet. So what happens, in fact, if this is an electron and a proton of the water, let's say, and this
it's the communication point.
It's a no, it's because this is what we call zero instant communication. Here, we work with it. What happens in this state here, we use the Coulomb barrier of the atom, not the Coulomb barrier of the plasma of a proton or electron behavior. Water in this state becomes using its Coulomb barrier, so it behaves as a GANS, as one unit. So the gravitational magnetic field from the GANS on this side and of the nano material coated on this side, they go like this. And they interact in that form. And here interacts in this form. So it does not go as it goes between. It goes in connection in line. So the behavior of the, what do you call it, molecules of water, it's very much in a GANS state interaction, not in a matter state interaction. Because if it was in a matter state interaction, the field forces from them have to move the electron to be able to transfer. Now it uses the field dimension of it, which is instantaneous. So there is no movement of electron. It uses the boundary, the atmosphere, or what we call the Coulomb barrier magnetic field. So the water in this instant behaves as a GANS, but in a matter state. So because this will not merge into this, but the behavior is as a Coulomb barrier magnetic gravitational field. North and south, what you see it as a north and a south, north to south, and back to the north of the nanolayer in the middle, in the center, and then the reverse back, and it's instantaneous. So any information, and in fact, what I said in the beginning earlier on, your gravitational magnetic field between the nanolayer, quote, the beam in the center, and the GANS is somewhere here, depending on the strength of which one it is. And one of the pulses you see, except outside bearing, is this trying to find its position. It keeps moving between the two. And then this is behavior of the totality of the plasma. Then, in so many ways, if you look at the structure of the planetary system, you understand as, what do you call it, we saw in the belt at the equator why we have this behavior. Within the, if you look at the what Rick showed us, I explain to you, understand it very, very, very interestingly easy. Rick showed us a ball with a light behind it with a belt. And
On the screen here now, Mr. Keshe.
yeah, and this belt, because of the balanced gravitational magnetic field, no field more or less enters or exits. Fields exit above this line, fields enter below this line. Anywhere here is in a neutral but collective gravitational magnetic field with any other cells outside. Behaves like an equator. Because here, every cell, every single molecule has found its balance. It's literally a nano layer. So fields, if you look at the structure, we see gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, they go like this. They actually start at certain point that they can go this way. Because here in neutrality is like a nano-coated. Nothing can enter, nothing can exit. And this is very, very fundamental. It's very important when you start running your reactors in how you, I explained this to the knowledge seekers before, is how you have your 4 cores in the base and the top, how you change the position of this belt will dictate the direction of the flow of your craft. Because it's this which dictates the position of the free plasma in the middle. If you put 2 now in this direction, your belt, you know how to do it. In time, you'll understand how to do it. So the position now moves here. This becomes your new direction of flow. Don't move things. You move, you create a condition, and the condition gives you the effect you need. This is the time will come, because now when you look at the reactor cores, you look at it as a total inner link, but we have opened it, we've seen it, is in a belt condition. And that's this property of the belt you can use for positioning where you want the central core to be. In the future, this dictates if you want to go to the left, to the right, to the bottom, or to the what do you call it, northwest at such a degree. Because you dictate this belt, position of this belt, and in a way, because this is magnetic gravitational field, instead of being axonal there, now is axonal there. So the 2 axes decide where it's going to be. This is very, very extremely important when it comes to system control and what do you call it, in how you affect your reactors in controlling it individually or collectively.
But it can't be a physical control, or else it'll be too slow. Is that right?
It's not physical control. This is the job of the captain. It is a unit we show you. We have built it. It's here, and then you can see how you can control. It's a monitoring control through GANSes. Arman has 2 little pieces in his pocket, in his hand, when he decides. But that carries about the same. In the future, I made a spherical for him, what do you call it, cylindrical. In the future, it'll be a spherical that he carries copy of. So he becomes part of the system, with the system, within the system. This is very, very important. Now that we start teaching about the work of the plasma, you have to understand the structure of the plasma and the behavior of the plasma. Any other question?
So going back to
there's a big one, Mr. Keshe. Oh.
From Ludmil.
Go ahead, Ludmil, because the question I'm going to ask is going to be a long one.
Okay,
going to the ring of the reactor in the middle with the plasma, isn't it easy to shrink the plasma, draining the water from the middle?
Pardon? Repeat, Ludmil.
To shrink the plasma to the center, isn't easy to drain the water from the middle?
No, it still goes to the side. It doesn't matter. GANS is very much takes the shape of the container because it's a plasma. It behaves like a gas. it'll pull the molecules of the water to the boundary of the container.
And the other thing is, if you turn the motor on the side, that's supposed to change the direction of the water, I guess.
Yeah, but in a way, at the moment, we do use motors, but in the future, the plasma decides itself.
Okay, thanks.
I was turning on the live stream. If you look at the picture, I turned my apparatus sideways and ran it, and it still has exactly the same band. You can turn it at any angle. Once you're over about 500 or 600 or 800 RPM, then it doesn't matter. It has the same band. You can turn it upside down, right side up. It's all the same band, basically. It doesn't. The gravity doesn't really affect it at that point. It's under its own gravity system.
Yeah, that's what I explained. You can use this property for the direction of the motion. In the future, you can use this in a GANS condition for what do you call it? For injecting materials into the body for immediate effect. Was any other question? We're going for that long question. What is that long question?
The long question. And it's the question that, excuse me, you said you would try to answer on this workshop, and it had to do with Moses. Yeah, we knew it. I knew that it would be a long one. So, but I was dying to hear it. I was really waiting for that answer because, and I think a lot of people were.
Well, what's the question? Could you elaborate a little better there about exactly the question or the situation?
Do you remember the question? Yeah, but do you remember?
It was. I think if we just give it a moment, Isaiah has some notes, so he could probably put the exact question that was brought up about Moses. It was, I think, it had something to do with when he was on the hill. It was he was different than when he came down from the hill.
Yeah. If I started speaking, this is going to go for 1 or 2 hours, because you cannot speak about one of the prophet of the gods without the others. What happened? This happens to all the prophets of God in the past. When they received the message, they received the message through the soul of the man. And then when they see the effect of the message, what brings them physically, they change their behavior to the behavior of the man. And we've seen this with, blessed his name, Muhammad, blessed his soul, Christ, and the same with his most adored live one, Moses. When he received the message on the mountain, when he received the message with the soul. He wrote it as the commands. When he left the mountain, he became the man because he decided which ones he wanted to be used, that he could give to his flock, that he could control. And then he used this for his position as a man, not as a prophet. So he received the message as a prophet, and then he used it as a man for his physical, positioning. And then when you do that, you receive what we call the same level as the soul of the man, not as the soul of the prophet. Moses received, blessed his name, full message. Then he decided which one he would like to give that is suited him. He received the message as a messenger. He gave the message as a man. And that's where he broke the covenant. We see in the same structure with the other prophets. And that's where he's come. And in fact, the whole command, the covenant with Moses was one thing: thou shalt not steal. And it was put in different form and shapes, but the others, which we were discussing before, he received more than 12 commandments. But he decided which one is suited him that he can use. But if he would have given the full of what he received, he would have achieved the balance, what it was decided. And then he saw with this, he could gain position in physicality. And then, as we know, because a lot of I come from a Jewish background, and I'm blooded Kohen and I'm blooded as a Sayyid. So both sides goes to the deeper side of the both religions. To me, it's all the same. It's all equal. So you understand that the Christ and Moses or Muhammad, they received the message through their soul as the prophet, as the messengers. The messengers in the universe is the one we give the message to give it to their own level of being. And in the level of man, somehow became like a Chinese whisper, according to the prophet. And then the people who use that religion use the same Chinese whisper to change it to suit them. Because they followed the example of the boss. If you look what Moses did, if you go into the historical data, go into history, not looking at Moses as a prophet, then you know the atrocities which was done by Moses as a military man. How can be one of the commandments, thou shalt not kill, but thou kills? Thou shalt not kill, what does it mean? It means thou shalt not steal life. And how even we know in the history of the Jewish religion, Moses ordered the killing of all the male species from the tribe which supported him and brought him to where he was. We've seen the same thing in a village in northern Holland. I used to go there quite frequently. Hitler ordered the murder of all the male species in that village because a man shot the general. And nobody would say which man it was, so he ordered the killing. Even the cat male was killed. Copy of what? Because Hitler came from a Jewish background. He followed the example of his own line of connection of acceptance. He repeated what Moses did thousands of years later on. Because once you're accepted in a what we call in a covenant, the covenant stays the same because that's what you do. You're a member of the gay club, you stay with the gay club. You don't go to the lesbian club as well as a gay. So this is what we call covenant. Your soul has a covenant with the soul you accepted. And covenant with the prophets, this is not to do with the earth only. It's the same with all the upcoming and physical entities in the universe. The love of God is equal to all His creatures. And we've seen this change. They received the message as a covenant between the Creator and the created. And in that point, some change it to suit them for what they see, they gain position. This is something which I've been very aware about my physical existence, and I try to keep away from it. It's very hard to understand the both sides of the fence you run in. But we've seen the failure in case of Moses. The same failure happened with Christ, blessed His name. And the people around them used it to benefit by them, and the ones who came after to be benefited, they followed the same thing. There is something very, very interesting. What happened with Christ? What happened with Christianity? Look at what they tell you. Look at your Christmas, what you set up. You say there are 3 kings who brought 3 presents to the Christ. This is added 300 years later in a different form because Persia did not have 3 kings. Persia has 3 kings law at that time. It used to be called Mithraism. Vatican has done everything to wipe everything off the internet about Mithraism. Most of the Romans were Mithras. But the people who believed in Christianity, they came in a different background. So what it is, they merged the 2 together. Why does the 3 kings? They brought the rich belief, people of the rich society, to the common man. In Mithraism, which was Zoroastrianism, the 3 kings are the 3 gifts. Kings give gifts. Kings gives you present equality. We call it in Zoroastrians Kedarenik, Goftarenik, Perdarenik. Means talk correct, think correct, and act correct. These are the 3 presents which in the language of Christianity has changed to gifts from 3 kings of Persia. Means think correct, act correct, and talk correct. Kedarenik means your behavior, Pendarenik correct, and Goftarenik talk correct. This comes from the origin of thou shalt not steal. Now you understand what it means when you have the gift from the 3 kings. When you go to Zoroastrian logo, when you see the Zoroaster on the 2 wings and 1 on the top on his head, which says, go on the internet, you'll find it straight away. 1 wing says, Kedarenik, Pendarenik, Goftarenik. Nik means perfect, to be correct. This goes back again when the Muslims came to Iran. I've said this before. The Muslims, when the Arabs came to Iran to convert the Zoroastrians to Muslim, beheaded them because they wouldn't come, or they would do. They said to them, why don't you cover the face of your woman? Well, the answer of the Iranian was very simple. We cover our own eyes, that we don't look at what we don't own, what is not ours. So why should we cover the face of the woman? And that's where comes the separation with the Persian culture and the Arab culture. So what you see, prophets receive the message in a different form. And they changed it, even with Muhammad. Blessed his name. There's a huge mystery in the world of Islam about the black stone in Mecca. Where did it come from? Why is it there and become so holy? We show it in the videos, or what we call recordings, in the future, that you see how that stone became there. Now I explain it for you for the first time. It was known by the Arabs who were there. Where this black stone is, it used to be like a holy place. It was like a temple with different statues which people worshipped. And these stones were brought up in different sizes to be carved in the shape and manners, as we see, for example, in India. The richer you were, the bigger stone you brought from all over from wherever you were to be carved. And this stone was brought in but never carved. And when Muhammad, blessed his name, went to Palestine and understood that you can have a belief without a statue, when he came in touch, don't forget Muhammad was a merchant. He saw how Christians have no statues, how Jews have no statues, and us, we have statues. When he came back to Mecca, he destroyed all the statues, except this stone, because it wasn't cut. So statues were destroyed, but this stone stayed. And that's how this stone got there, because they used to bring stones to cut it. And the black stone has a more power because you had more fear of it, you had to pay more to it, but it was never cut. It was brought in. Statues of these things we see in India, we see in different kind of East Asia. Now you understand the mystery of how the stone got into this place and why it's there, and now becomes a point of worship for Muslims. What happened? You have to understand, Muhammad, blessed his name, came to be a messenger for his tribe. And he saw the incorrectness of it. And he did not want it for him to become that people have a fear. He saw how the Romans and how the Christians on the different name use the cross and the body of the man. So he said, I don't even want my face to be drawn, that nobody can use it to abuse it. And now it's become a big problem between the Muslims and the Christian world. They draw a face, and this is a face of Muhammad, bless his name. And the Muslim says you don't have to, the Muhammad was, he asked his face not to ever be drawn. Because he saw how the man abused the body of Christ. The abuse came. You go to a church, you go to, you wear a cross. Understand why you're being forced to accept a cross, not the feature of the man. Cross was a sign of Romans in the line of punishment. If you did not follow, you were put on the cross. So the symbol of fear is used in conjunction by the people who run this organization, as when you see the cross to you, is a cross the sign of a church. But in subconscious, if you don't follow, we put you on it. And what they do, they put the body of the man, bless his name, the cross, Christ, on the cross. It's a way of control. It's not the way that the religion was supposed to be. And this came through what we call now the Illuminatis. Religion became, fear became a point of money making. Christ made the same mistake himself during his life. The physical punishment of being put on the cross was what he made the difference between the line of prophet and physicality. And the physicality was punished, not the soul. So if you look in all the churches, all the priests wear a cross, not with a Christ on it. This means the line of punishment. And it's gone into the subconscious so people don't understand. Because Romans' law was, we put you on the cross. So this is the line of fear to be connected to the covenant of what you have accepted with the name of Christ, bless his name. In reality, there should be no cross born anywhere with the name of Christ. And the one who wear a man on a cross, you already accepted the submission to be punished. So you're a subordinate. Because if I don't do correct, I'll be put on the cross. And then comes the financial punishment and the confession which has been built into it. Christ said, this is my body, this is my blood. He never punished. Punishment, and if you look back into the depth of the Illuminatis, comes back in the original conversion of the Mithraism. So the financial arm of the Christianity has become separate from the soul of Christ, and now that we see the structures which is built for punishment, you go in to confess and you go in to pay for punishment for what you haven't punished, is not punishable. Because if thou shalt not steal, which was the first commandment given to Christ, to Moses, then none of it would have happened. Now you understand this. There are same failures with Buddha. There are same kind of failures with Krishna. There are the same failures with a holy priest in South America. It's not just the three which we used to in the West. Understanding the separation between the soul of the prophet at the moment they received the message of God, and in what they used it to fit themselves, to be adorned with what they wanted. No one should talk wrong about Blessed Muhammad or his beautiful soul of Christ, or love of God and Moses. But this, when we praise them, we praise their soul and the covenant they have with the Creator. So next time when you see a priest in front of you with a cross, you understand you should not be punished and you should have no fear. A true priest wears the body of Christ, not a cross and not a man on the cross. Religion has to be, acceptance of a covenant has to be with love and care, not with the fear of punishment. It has never worked, it will never work, but it makes a lot of people with a lot of money. I said to you, if time be last time, I dismantle every brick within Vatican, and this is the first brick. Let no priest ever wear a cross. And then you find out the thinking goes different, the talking will go different, and we come to the essence of being loving, caring, and being in peace with ourselves and with the others. Not out of fear, but out of equality and giving what we like and taking what we need. And this is what I said when you go to the mosque, when you go to the church, when you go to synagogue. Face the door that you're ready to give for the man who comes to receive. The understanding is very simple. A lot of people ask me, how do you know what you know where you know? We are attached, we are connected to your souls, and the souls bring messages. Being a king, being the Pope, being the Ayatollah, being an Imam, being a high priest. We do not need your physicality. Those are who plan to do things we are aware of, we don't need. But there is a soul of a man and a soul of what is connected to the man. So now you understand where Moses went wrong, where Christ went wrong. Christ went wrong, it's been wiped, a lot of it, but in the Jewish historical books, you have to go and read the behavior of Christ and why he went on that cross. It's not for me to say because I know. The same went with Muhammad, bless his name. And then people around them saw the behavior as a way to make money. And now we have the huge establishments that the religions become finance houses. That's why I say with Keshe Foundation in my time, there will be no religion. The religion sits within your soul, and you being judge of yourself and knowing what you've taken too much to give back to where you've taken it from. Then it'll be peace. For me to punish the people who are trying to destroy me is very easy. But what I do, I just give to them. I give them through the soul. And in time they find out they do everything and everything goes wrong. Even within my own knowledge seekers, there's an enemy within us. But I keep silence. It's for him to walk away, not for me to sit in. I was poisoned by one of the knowledge seekers, not from outside. So, is there a Judas in the soul? Yes. But I have to be neutral and take the physical pain. If I punish, I've gone back to what has happened in the past. But if they punish themselves by not receiving the love and the care and the knowledge, they are punished themselves. This is what is happening. This is what is going on, and it will stop. One of my own knowledge seekers poisoned me with arsenic, and through his connections. By your law, I should behead him. But by my law, I praise for his soul and the people who support him and finance him to be here. But you have to understand, if we make the same mistakes as made by the prophets of the past, man will be delayed in the process of joining the universal community. We take the pain, but we bless the souls, the ones who make the mistakes. It is very simple. Moses, from the time he received the 40 commandments to the time he came to the bottom with 12, the 28 would have changed the course of the man. But for him was more important for him to be important. And that's why the message came as a man. And then we have seen the abuses which happened as a top commander, and the number of no prophet of God killed as many as the Moses has done in the ratio to the number of the people in the community that existed. Read the true history, not what has been filtered and fabricated. Read the true structure of Christianity, the way it has come from Mithraism and doesn't exist in Christianity the way that Moses brought it, or the way that Jesus set it out. Go on the internet, look at Mithraism, and see how close Mithraism is to Christianity. Virgin birth, the 12 disciples, the 12 days of Christmas, and on 13th we celebrate. This is made up to suit the Illuminatis, that they could rob the man financially, that they could be richer. Now we gave you Mr. Eric Clapton, a German, has managed to create gold out of air. Now how much, it's not me, now I give you the name, go and kill him. But it's very simple. He's used a nano-coated in an 8 form, is on the internet, you've seen it on some of the face talks. And then he's used 2 magnets and a piece of gold, he's created a condition and he attracts gold. So gold has no value. The same thing what it goes on the Rothschild side, which is the financiers of the Jewish background. So the 2 finance houses, by robbing, becoming rich to control. And on the other hand, we see the same 2 sides in monarchies. I have no fear of what I speak, because I can talk and explain exactly what has happened, because we've seen the history of the pages of the man over thousands of years. So, as I said, as much greenback as you like, worth nothing beyond the space of this place. And we have seen even within the planet Earth, the Russians, the Chinese, that others who have understood the abuse are opening their own bank. We don't need the greenback. The influence of central control from the Jewish side. Let me explain to you something historically, economically devastating for the EU. The ones who have joined the EU currency, you have not a single gram of gold in your central banks. They're all sitting in Bonn. You gave it all away. The Germans tried twice. That is, Rothschilds tried twice to First and Second World War to empty your central banks. With war, they didn't win. With EU, they won. You go to your central bank and show me 1 bar of gold. None of you own a single, because they all had to go to Bonn. So in fact, there is no currency in your banks. And that's why you can go backwards and you can go bankrupt so easy. And your governments do not tell you a single thing about it. Because one of the conditions of becoming EU currency was to shift and lift all your gold back to European Central Banking bond. What did Hitler do? He drove to Amsterdam, he went to central bank, sent all the gold back to bond. Now this time is done without a single bullet shot. And that's why EU is dictated by the German economy, because they're sitting on the gold. And that's why Vatican has moved everything to bond, because they had to support the Christian governments like Spain, Ireland, and Greece, not to show there is no money in the background. They have wiped it out. That's why your economies cannot be supported and you're in such high unemployment, because you have no money to back up to buy. You gave your gold at $322, if I remember correct, or something in that region, deposited in bond. And now your gold is $1,500 an ounce. But you have none of it. Your central banks is void of a single gram of gold. And that's why we see what they call a spring uprising in the Middle East. To rob new golds, to fill in the golds you're given to the bond, you have nothing. Why the European nations are in such a hurry to rob all the Middle East banks? To cover what they lost, and they realized it was too late. It was set up, the British withdrew because they knew what it was, but they had to be in part of it to do it. And they withdrew out and they lost 7 billion. Go back and read when the British came out of EU currency. It was a full setup by the British government that they come out, but because they went in, more people went in because the British were in. And everybody fell for it. One of the reasons we see all these wars in Middle East is not because there is a problem in Middle East. It's because you people in Europe, you gave all your golds back to bond. French central bank, if it doesn't rob the Libyan central bank with the British, had no gold left in it to show its people. So now you see how criminality has joined physicality and joined religion. Thousands of people are dying in Middle East because your central bank got emptied, which gone to bond. And now you're trying to fill it through the back door. Because there was a law, by such a date, whatever is in the central banks has to be transferred. One of the reasons gold did not gain value for such a long time, because every nation in Europe put all their golds for sale. They sold on promissory notes that they don't send all of it to bond. Now you know the secret why you're all in a big problem in the economy in some of the European nations. You have no gold in your reserve. And the ones who are not joining in invading other nations like Middle East by creating false spring uprising, you stay poor. Because you're not in there to rob their central bank. And what happened? Now you killed so many people in the Middle East, in the Arab nations. People lost their father, their mother, have nowhere to go. A simple man who says, oh, I give you home, it becomes Islamic, what do you call it, the nation. Where did suddenly 30, 40,000, 50,000 people just becoming part of it? These are the Palestinians with the Jews bombed in Palestine. They have no home. They can't lose more than what they lost. What happened to the ones in Libya? What happens in Syria? And you say, why is happening? Because Rothschilds and the Illuminatis wanted more gold back into their reserve because they lost through the other side, which they organized themselves. Now you're fighting what you could not reach, what you stole, and now you say there is a problem? Look at the roots. Next time, when you go to a church, turn the chair and look at the door and start praying and see what the priest does. And if he shows you the cross, say that's how it was a punishment by Romans. Christ, show him the figure of Christ. This is what you pray with or pray to. This is your covenant. Your covenant is not with the cross or with the man on the cross. It's with the man, with the soul of the Christ. Blessed his name. Then nobody will go to church. And there is no priest to abuse, to rape the children. Because it's out of fear. Now you understand how the father, the top man has gone wrong, and the same wrong is following down the line. Starting from Moses, changing his position as a messenger to what is suiting by the end of the mountain when he came out of the mountain, to Moses, to Christ, bless his name, and to Muhammad, bless his name too. So when you go to Vatican next time, when you go to church next time, pray to the soul of Christ, and then you will receive the message of Christ, and then you find your path to live a correct life. Don't go in and kiss a cross, because it means you accepted the punishment before you even go in. I stand, I'm married to a Catholic-born woman, my wife. So many times over years, 20 odd years we've been together. We go to every church. I love going to churches because I see the submission of man to the weakness of his own. And what do? You put your hand in the water and you make a cross. You already accepted subordinate. Then it's easy for the guy up there to tell you whatever he likes and you follow. Build the temple of God in your souls. The house of God is the universe. Not in the temples of the man who's there to abuse the man. Any question? Silence.
No, I'm checking for the mute button. The mute button was unable to be pressed at that particular moment, so it must have needed to have that silence.
In a way, no, in a way, now you understand why the answer is so long. The messengers of all the prophets has been one thing: unity and peace. But now religion is used for war, so it's wrong. The term is finished. That's what I said last Thursday. The time of Christ, Moses, and Muhammad and all the prophets of this planet are finished, because they did not deliver for what they were given to bringing peace and equality and share and fairness. That's why we open our cameras, that everybody receives the knowledge and love of God in the same instant. And that's how it should be.
So, Mr. Cash, you started at Moses, but there was before that as well in different times.
The same process.
Giving the same message, right? Yes, okay.
Yes, but the same process. Go back. Where did the Zoroastrian, where did the, what do you call it, Jews learn their way? Go back to the Zoroastrians. And go before that. When I was in Tehran the last time, I asked for the permission if I have a free day to go back to my old school. I've been taught in the school of Zoroastrians. And in my high school next door there's a temple, because I used to pray in that temple when I was a student in high school. I knocked on the door and they opened the door with a fear, because now there is not the freedom we used to have before. And I said to the woman who opened the door to tell the high priest that I'm an old student, I've come to pray in my way. They closed the door and then they opened the door. They said, you're welcome, because you carry the soul of the man in a different way. So I went to the temple, I went to the fire, I set a fire, because this fire has been going over 3,000 years in this temple. They keep the fire on in the house of fire. And you see the same thing. Simplicity in Zoroastrian belief or Mithraism originally is very simple, but it's been used to change. And that's where it came the first time we don't have no statues in the Zoroastrians and in Mithraism. But as the Romans were in, if you hear a lot of my talk from the beginning when we came to Italy, I say, us Persian and Romans are old friends. We've been together for a long time. A lot of Romans, royal family hierarchy, were married to the Iranians and they were Zoroastrians. And so people wanted to have the religion of these people who were, we were going to Iran. And when the Christianity was merged to be accepted by the, what you call it, the emperor, was adopted to fit in with the Zoroastrians, which they were elite to be accepted by both sides. And that's why you see the mixture of two religions, and you call it the present Christianity on the Pope, on the Vatican. So you have the three kings, because the Romans believed in, as I said, the three gifts of the Zoroaster. That's why the Iran didn't have three kings. It's meaningless. But the kings bring gifts, that's what he says in the Christmas hymns. And the gifts are talk correct, think correct, and act correct. And when you do those things, it goes back to the message of God. Thou shalt not steal. Then it's one rule. And it's changed and adapted accordingly. If you look, religion has become a sense of war. Which religion is a company limited? Who can have more? So it's a takeover. Now they take over from people, because if you collect $1 per head, at 10 million is $10 million a day. So you convert more and kill more Christians and you kill more Muslims to have a more membership, to collect more. This is nothing else to it. Why do you need collect money where you abuse people with it, be it physical, sexually, or morally? This is where it's gone wrong, let me put it right. Because now we give the knowledge for you to do things yourself, and then by doing self, just look at the structure of the reactor I showed to you today. You have 4 reactors, they work equal, give and take, they make a bank, we call it that, free plasma. Because they don't need to take more than. That's why you see such a violent changes in the reactors on the data you have. They give and they take where everybody is happy, where everybody is in comfort. There is no difference. So this is, as I said in last talk, this is the end of religions. We have finished with them. Because now you sit within your own soul to be your own religion. There are no temples, there are no mosques in the universe, and there are no Christian, Jews, or Muslims, or whatever. Because you carry the judgment with you. God says, I made man in the image of myself. That is in the soul of the man, not his physicality. Thou shalt not steal. Killing is a stealing, raping is a stealing, adultery is a stealing. You go on the other, ask the original commandments which came to Moses. You'll be shocked what he received, and it didn't suit him at the time. 40 commandments, not 12. Actually 42. 2 does not have time to write. When the prophets of God meet, they always talk about the fire and light. Is the interaction, as you understood, between the gravitational magnetic field of the sun, gravitational magnetic field of the earth creates the light. When the soul of the man as a gravitational magnetic field touches the soul of the God, creates light. And that's where the light comes from. That's why they speak, all the prophets speak about the light and the fire. It's the interaction of the souls. And now you see it physically. There is no physical earth, dust on the top of the earth, on the atmosphere. It's the field, when they interact, the strong, more powerful of the sun, when it reaches, touches the softer one, the weaker one of the earth, they produce the gradient change, creates light. And that's why we see the lights of the prophet. They say they always speak about the fire and the light. This is when the soul, the knowledge of the God, the Creator, touches the soul of the man and enlightens the man, and they see it as a light with their physical eye. And as of now, every man is in a position to see that light. All you need to do is to live the life of the God, and then the rest is easy. Any questions?
I wanted to share something about the GANs. I was thinking, I told some of the knowledge seekers, I don't remember who, a couple weeks ago, that you could take the GANs maybe and put it in little spheres and rotate it slowly and have it dry into a spherical shape, and then you can use it as a magnet.
Try it.
Because I have different GANs in the iron GANs. The black one is really extremely magnetic, and I'll try that.
Can we talk about this other time, not this time?
Sure.
The point is, let me explain to you something very interesting. There are a lot of people who like and they write about the interaction of the soul. And the past life or the future life, or they've been in the space. Remember one thing, that your RNA is the line of your connection with the God, not your DNA. And if your body has been present 27,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago, when the knowledge was passed on to the man, you have already been to your, what do you call the information line, in touch with the man outside this planet. And you've been taught fairness, correctness, and we see this in all the places where these messages have been written out. It's the man who's changed. It's the man who has decided, I abuse and I find a justification for my abuse. And people are becoming more and more aware of the abuse. In Austria, there was 95% church going on Sunday, reduced to 5% because they found out the priest physically abused the children. It was revolt about the physicality of the presentation of the religion, not about the covenant peace people had with themselves, with Christ. They're still Christian, they still pray to Christ, but they don't go to the house to be abused. My advice to the Vatican is very simple. Take all the crosses from all the churches around the world, around the neck of the priest, because this means we rule you, we torture you the way we want. This is a symbol of Romans, not the symbol of Christ. Christ is a man and has to be worshipped as a man. So next time you see a cross, remember the Romans, what they've done to you, or what they used to for punishment. It's like a whip in a classroom the teacher puts next to him. You're noted, this is a whip. Are you listening to the teacher, or out of the fear of being whipped that you listen to the teacher? And this is what has been used. And this is what the Illuminatis have used to make their wealth, and the Rothschilds have made their wealth in a different way, using the name. I told you, I dismantle every structure you have set up until the piece, the way it has to be, has set up. Listen carefully and choose the path in one way. Serve and not to be served. Then you understand you don't need no one to wash no one's feet, and you need no one to behead no one to change the religion. And we let it come to such a mess because now it's time for change, because you got yourself in such a heap of simple English word shit. You have not enough food to feed each other, and you rob more and more from each other to have more to rob. It goes back to what I said. There are daily, weekly reports written to the people who finance people here as knowledge seekers, and these weekly, monthly reports are used to write patents against the Keshe Foundation, backdated to rob the rest of the world. This is the habit of what they've done for years. And who supports it? The man who calls himself a king, because it's the way he can rob. And then he's supported by Vatican, because the wife is Italian. So thieves hand over the thieves and hold each other to be correct. We are holy, and we are correct, we are leaders. Their term is finished and is done with. It's the same across all the religions. You wait for the mayhem is about to arise in Middle East. You haven't seen it yet. They have to dismantle themselves, because if it's done by the others, then they did it, we didn't do it. But because they do it themselves, then there is no problem. Shame be on those bodies who carry a cross, because they are the abusers. And their openness becomes so fashionable. I show you how I abuse you, and I punish you with what it is. A man who believes in Christianity should wear the body of Christ, not a body on a cross. Because you already have submitted yourself to be senior, I'm ready to be abused. And in the universe is equality. The same goes with the Judaism. The same goes with Muhammad, the same goes with the Buddha and the rest. That's why, as I said, we share the knowledge so openly, because this is the way it's done in the universe, equality. If we take you, I've said this to you before, if I teach you half, I'll take you into a space as a slave, and this is not my job. I take you into space as equal, but I have to speak your language slowly, slowly till you build up. Till you understand, because if you understand, you will not do it. If I force you and show you everything, I'll become a magician, you saw a magic show. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? I hope you can find a mute button quickly.
I'm here. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. That was...
Actually, there is a question that is very good. Sorry, Rick. I know there's a delay. Why are all the prophets male?
We have more female prophets, but the people who came afterwards tried to get them out. The whole backbone of Christianity sits on Mitra. Mitra was a female. But they don't tell you that. The backbone of Islam is the same, because it was made on the backbone of Christianity and the backbone of the Judaism. That's why we always say we are Iranians and we are not Arabs. We are Persians and we have got nothing to do with the rest. Because in a Persian house, the mother, the wife, the woman is the head of the family. It comes from our background. Women in the Iranian house, in a true Iranian house, not a converted Iranian house, is the head. Even the man listens to the decision, not decision, consultation. In a Zoroastrian's family, there is no head. It's all consultation, and always woman decides the last point, which is best for everyone. And that's why with the Zoroastrians now, they're killing thousands of them in Iraq. You find peaceful families. They're very peaceful. Their future is peaceful. They all are very, very, very calm people. Because they're at peace, they leave the original order. And the order, the head is a woman. Mitra, it's good, just write on the internet. Vatican has paid a fortune to clean the internet of Mitraism. Because they show it's where they stole the religion from to fit theirs. Just put Mitraism and read. The light on the trees comes from, you put the light on the trees, comes from the candle of the Mitraism on the trees on the New Year. And then you find the original background is actually a woman. It's very much like that in Arab countries, they cover the woman because the man decides because of his own incompetence. The new lot do that because they want to show they're following a woman. It's the creation, is the Mother Earth, it's the creation of life.
Right, I was going to say the mother is the neutron that gets divided into its matter positions.
Yes, if you teach your daughter first, this is in the Baha'i faith religion, if you have money to teach. If you have a son and a daughter and you have enough money to teach one, you teach the daughter because she's the future of the generations, not the man. And the Baha'ism came from Iran and sits in the deep culture of Iran. This is what Mitraism was. When you bring a mother up correctly, she brings up correct children. Then you have correct families in the future. Any other question we call today? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up here.
Sorry to finish all the hard work of all these priests for a long time, but I think they have robbed enough. Is enough and enough. It's time for peace.
But I think there's some of us that also already say that we don't want to be part of that or any type of religion, and there's something in us that say we don't want to be part of that. And there's just nothing else out there that describes what we are looking for.
Yes,
so thank you very much.
Listen very correctly, Vince. You don't need to look for it. It's inside you yourself.
That's right.
So you don't need no temple, no religion. Because whatever you believe through covenant of acceptance of Christ, you have made your line. But it's you who decided at this moment, I don't like what they've done with it. But in fact, there is nothing wrong with the teacher blessing his name, Muhammad, Christ, or Moses, or the rest. So you make the temple of God in your soul, not in your heart. And then you find that you live the correct life. Thank you very much. We'll speak tomorrow in the, what do you call it, the health section. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. And that's the end of the 33rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop. Thank you for attending.